The story begins with a girl asking a boy named Light what kind of skill he wants. He responded with 2 swords fencing or fleet-footed. In general, he wanted a combat skill. The day he had been waiting for her, she had finally come. Light was dreaming of being an adventurer, and now it was the day his skill would grant. Light then asked Lena the girl what skills she wanted, and she said that it would be nice if she could get the same skill as his. She was Light's childhood sweetheart, so all she wanted was to be with him. Lena reminded him that if they wanted to know what skills they were going to be granted, they must wait, which was stressful for Light. However, when it was their turn, Light stated that they were going to become the strongest adventurers. He hoped that after that, the glorious life of the adventurer Light would begin. But now he was doing farm work. He was celebrating the best berry he had collected so far. He was acting like agriculture was his dream job but couldn't stand it after a second. He was doing a job that was far from his dream, a farmer. And it was all because of the skill he got. It all started 3 months ago on the day of skill fruit. The fruit of the skill that was given was a special nut that could grant skills to the person who eats it. If they had a skill, they could take on jobs that match it. They were able to choose some fruit they liked and eat it. However, there was one thing that they must adhere to. A person could only get the skill fruit once in a lifetime. If they eat it for the second time, they would be poisoned and would die. They were shocked to hear this information. The saints explained that from time immemorial, there had been countless people who got a skill they didn't like, ate the fruit for the second time to change it, and they all died. Light already knew about this. For those who wanted to become adventurers, it was common sense. He wouldn't even be able to stand at the starting line if he didn't get combat skills. All of today's adventurers were holders of absurdly strong skills, and Light wanted to be like that too. Saint then mentioned that as long as they don't eat for the second time, there shouldn't be a problem. The first one to eat the fruit was Lena. Saint also used her appraisal at the same time. To back her up, Light told her to eat the fruit and be confident. Lena chose her fruit and took a bite. Her body suddenly started to get hot, and Saint was shocked. Lena's kill was the skill of Sword Saint. Saint told her that she was the chosen one, and she had always been looking forward to an adventurer like her. While everyone was congratulating her, she turned to Light and hoped he would get combat skills. Light confidently went to the table and picked a fruit. He ate the fruit without any hesitation and felt his body getting hotter. However, his skill was Nutmaster. Light didn't know what kind of skill it was, so he asked if it was a skill that had combat effects, but unfortunately it wasn't. Saint explained that it was a nut-related skill and could increase the yield of crops and reduce growing time and things. It was a skill that was classified outside of combat, but it would be great if he wanted to become a farmer. Light was devastated. All he wanted was to become an adventurer, and he begged the saints to let him try again. Lena tried to cheer him up by saying she would also become a farmer, and they would create a big farm together. However, Ciante immediately objected to her, asking what nonsense she was talking about. The one who owns this Sword Saint skill is a talent that only happens once in 10 years. For this country, she must become an adventurer. If she does, she could earn 1,000 times more money than a farmer, and have a rich life without lack of anything. After her words, Light felt the distance between him and Lena in his bones. Saint had told her to follow her to report back to the Adventurers Guild. Then she would be transferred to live in the Saint's capital. She grabbed her arm and started to drag her while Light was still on his knees. Light wanted to say something before she left, so he told her to do it for his dream too. Lena teared up, and before she left him, she screamed that she was going to wait for him. Now it had been 3 months, and since then he had been harvesting fruit trees in exchange for money, and this was all he could do. He was being happy to see his berries being so juicy. He was using his skills to grow them faster. He knew he was perfect for this job, but on the inside he still wanted to be an adventurer. When today's harvest was done, it was time to go sell them. After a while he sold everything. He harvested, but it wasn't enough. He wished that his skill could be used with other vegetables, but it could only be used with nuts, which was useless. A newspaper slammed his face, and when he looked at what was written, he was Lena, the fastest S-ranked adventurer in history. He compared himself to her and felt bad. Everyone in the town was talking about Lena and how successful she was. They asked Light if he was proud of his best friend, and he politely stated how good she had been doing, while feeling like she was going further and further away from him. He then went to the forest and started practicing his combat skills, even though he had none. He was planning to catch up with Lena even with no skill. He decided that if he could cut this stump in half, he would quit being a farmer and become an adventurer. He hit the stump with all his might, but it did not affect it. He let himself on the ground, thinking about Lena. While he was lying down, Isley came and brought him water. He recently adopted this girl. He was forced by the village chief to raise this girl, and it seemed like the situation was quite complicated. Now the two of them share the work and the housework, and somehow they get along. Light felt bad for not bringing anything for her to eat, but Isley was grateful for him anyway. She had zero complaints about the way they lived, and this was making him emotional. Ilse let him know that she had already prepared the dinner. She thought Light was very busy, so she cooked casserole. They went home and started to eat. Isley asked how the harvest was today, and he said it had been much better lately, especially the skill fruit. He explained that in addition to fruit trees, he had also focused on growing skill fruits. He was planning to sell them to the saint, and the orders to save money to buy a good sword. He then warned her that the skill fruits were in the crates over there and she wasn't allowed to eat them. Aile was surprised because she had already used some of them to cook a casserole. Light was flabbergasted. He recalled what the saint told them, and started to feel the same feeling as 3 months ago. He didn't want to die in a situation like this where he hadn't even become an adventurer yet. He felt so guilty for Aile as he didn't tell her about the skill fruit, and at this rate he would have to take the blame for murder. He told her that she wasn't at fault at all. Aile was so confused. Light also noticed that he wasn't dead. He felt like something was popping into his head, and it was the Sword Saint skill. He was shocked and confused because it was supposed to be Nutmaster, not Sword Saint. And also, how come he wasn't dead yet? He wondered if Saint lied to them, but there was no reason for her to lie. Also, he had heard stories of people dying from skill fruit poisons from everyone in the village. He wondered if he was the only exception but didn't know the reason. Aisley's head started to hurt, so he focused on her. She said that ever since then her body had been heating up and now all her head hurts. Suddenly, Aisley looked at Light and said that his Nutmaster skill could disable any kind of poison. Light wondered how she knew that. She said that when she looked at his face, those words popped into his head. However, she had one more skill, which was Sword Saint. She said that when holding a sword in hand, the attack power would be greatly increased, and the resistance to magic would be increased. The mark on her face could be that Islay had obtained appraisal skills. If so, he had something in his mind and told her that he was going out for a bit. He wanted to confirm what was this hot feeling. If the skill was real, he would be able to cut it in half now. He focused on his power and sliced the stump into 2 pieces without any resistance. This was the skill of the Sword Saint. Light could be the only one in the world to own 2 skills at the same time. After confirming that he had the Sword Saint power, he told Islay that they would start the journey tomorrow. When she asked where they were going, he told her that they were going to defeat magic beasts. At the Holy Land Lanodyne, Islay wanted to eat pizza as it was her first time seeing it, but Light didn't want to look around. They went to the Adventurers Guild, and it was so crowded. Light always dreamt about the day when he could finally be in this place. There were so many orders to catch magic beasts, they could be rewarded for completing those orders and then they would be able to buy more things. But he didn't come here for the money. He had this strange skill that he acquired just yesterday, and he wanted to see how useful this skill could be in a real-life battle. He wanted to figure out if he could properly team up with the other adventurers there. And if possible, he wanted to be with Lena again. He then noticed that Islay was not standing still, so he told her to sit and wait for a bit because she must be tired from walking so far. Last night, they both felt exhausted due to the side effects of the new skills. Light also felt a little tired, but right now he only wanted to get the quest. He told Islay that he was going to the reception and left her in the bank. Islay looked at the people around her and everyone seemed so strong and each of them had a skill. But among the people here, Light was the only person who possessed 2 skills. With appraisal skill, she wanted to gather useful information for Light, so he looked at the other adventurers. There were lots of skills such as taijutsu, fire attribute, seduce, and breakthrough. She then heard Light's voice scolding someone. He was looking at the big guys asking them if they were the ones who hit him. The guy who bumped into him said that he must have sensed him and dodged it himself. He then recognized Light and called him Nutmaster. Light didn't expect this kind of people to still exist and ignored him. Being ignored by a nutseller made him pretty mad and he was about to hit Light. However, Light easily dodged his attack. They were shocked that he could block Jen's attack. Light also noticed that the reaction speed also increased when he gripped the sword. Jen's friends told him that there was no point in fighting with this guy and told him to hurry up to launch the epic first quest. Light also told Islay that everything was good now. He was holding the quest they got. In the next scene, we see Light in the Plains Arca. The area was a pit stop. He looked around for magic beasts to come out and warned Islay to not leave his sight. Suddenly a monster came and Islay informed him. It was a big slime. Islay used her appraisal skill and told Light that the slime seemed to be superior to the others in defense. The slime noticed him. Attacking would be his best form of defense, so he counted on Sword Saint. He defeated the slime without any struggle and was pretty happy that he felt no weight of this sword at all. He had figured that the key point was in power adjustment. He told Islay that if they cut a part of the slime to bring it back, the guild would exchange it for money, but Islay felt pitiful to cut it to bring it back. But she forgot about it after he told her that this was worth 10 pizzas. Even if it was the lowest rank, 300 gold was a big amount for them. So he told her to let him know whenever she wanted to eat something. While they were talking, someone yelled at Light. When they looked at the hill, they saw Jen being furious about not being able to finish the first quest, and they were fighting with a giant orc. He knew that running into Light wasn't good luck for him. They started to run away when Light called them asking if they were all right. They were surprised to see him over the hill and they started to run towards them. Light then noticed the magic beast chasing them. Islay knew that Orc should not be here. Before they ran away, Jen wished good luck to Light and they disappeared. Orc's target was now on the Light. This terrain had nowhere for Light to hide, so the only way was to fight. On the other hand, if they beat this guy, that would be the best start for an adventurer. Aerie told him to be careful and reminded him that Sword Saint skill does not increase the body's defense. If he can't dodge Orc's one single attack, he is going to be dead in a second. If the case was becoming the strongest adventurer and writing his name in history, there must be a time to cross the line of life and death. He was used to the feeling of his new speed, and the power was so great, so he was hoping to win and made his first attack. The skin of the Orc was tough, but he didn't give up. He wanted to be able to reach Lena, and the more he thought about it, the more he gave his strength to his sword, and eventually, he defeated the Orc. He was still in disbelief that he neutralized the poison and got his second skill. Islay came and asked if he was okay, and he confirmed her. Jen and his group members were shocked to see him defeating the Orc all by himself. In the Adventurers Guild, the receptionist woman was also sharing their emotions. Light showed her the Orc's horn as proof, and asked if they could take the money. Jen's team members confirmed that he defeated the Orc and called him their savior. The other people at the guild were so surprised and started praising Light. Light wasn't used to getting recognition from talented people and got the courage to believe in himself. Suddenly, the atmosphere changed a lot and the guild had a big silence. When he asked what was happening, the man explained that the S-rank group had returned. Light immediately went to the front with the hope of seeing her. He couldn't believe his eyes when he saw her. The S-rank group contained 4 members. Their leader was Flash Grouse. The big guys were Strong Arm Eric and Fiery Fire Salim. Last but not least, our Sword Saint Lena. The adventurers were amazed by her beauty. However, Lena was giving them the most possible hostile look. Islay also seemed amazed by her. Light finally reached the front lines and called her name. Grouse asked Lena if she knew him, but Lena looked at the Light and told him that she didn't know him. Light was speechless. Islay eventually had to drag him to the pizza shop to eat pizza. While she was eating her delicious pizza, Light was motionless. Islay told him that if he kept being moody like that, she would eat it all. So he started eating so fast, which led him to accidentally drown. Someone brought water to him. When he looked, it was Lena. But before he could react, she shushed him. Lena wondered who this little cute girl was and why she was with Light, but didn't bother to ask at that moment. Light once again asked her why she was there. Lena told him to be quiet and asked him what he was doing there. Light explained that he and Islay came to be adventurers and asked her why she pretended not to know him. Lena explained that he couldn't tell him the reason behind this, and then realized what he said about the reason why they were there. Light explained that he had acquired a skill that could use swords, and it was a long story. Lena was just happy that his dream finally came true. Light then wanted to know more about her team as he was amazed. However, Lena didn't find it amazing, and said that it was just that Saint paired her with the people already there at the time. Although they won many times, the atmosphere wasn't excellent, and Lena wanted Light to not get involved with her group at all. Light thought Sacred was an elite party, but apparently it wasn't. 2 months ago, in their first mission, their leader Grouse told Salim to weaken the serpent with fire. Salim listened to his order. Lena noticed that fire was being blown toward the farm and informed her leader, but Grouse couldn't care less about the farmers. Lena felt so guilty and went to the people who lost their place and apologized. Grouse smiled and stated that vegetables can be replanted, but if she let that thing run wild, it would attack humans sooner or later. After the mission was over, Lena went to the Saint and told her that this was completely unacceptable. However, just like Grouse, the Saint also didn't see any problem. She said that the history books would only record that the elite party Sacred subjugated the serpent beast. Recalling that memory from 2 months ago wasn't good for Lena. Light asked if she was okay and stated that he didn't understand totally, but if the group was not that good, she could join them. Lena looked at them for a second but refused with a weak voice, but Light noticed that she was crying. Lena stood up and excused herself and left without saying anything. Light was concerned about her. At the Adventurer Guild, Light and Islay got their reward for defeating the Orc, which was 10,000 gold. Islay had already started to count the pizzas she was going to eat. She then asked if Light was happy. He was happy but was still concerned about Lena's expression. If so, Islay figured that he could ask Groud, who was sitting there with beautiful ladies. The ladies wished to be on his team too and were begging him to tell them stories about subjugating magic beasts. He gladly started to talk about today's mission. He said that while Salim stopped the evil grizzly's movement, his sword thrust into him. The receptionist woman came and informed him that the heat of the fire drained the reservoir and there were a lot of complaints from the people to the guild. While she was explaining the previous problems, Grouse told her to forget the claims because they had already done the main job, which was to save them. He defended himself by saying no matter how excellent they were, they could not avoid small losses. Light came and told him to free Lena immediately. He said that she couldn't forgive such actions, and she heard everything from her today. While Grouse was making fun of him, the two guardians came and held his arms so that he couldn't do anything to him. After they kicked him out, the guardians warned him not to think of himself as having a chance against Grouse, because if he got angry, he wouldn't be there ever again. On the street, Light told Islay that they could not eat pizza anymore. At the Adventurers Guild's Sacred Lounge, Eric asked what they were thinking about his sword. Grouse told him to use it to her heart's content as it was from Saint. Meanwhile, Lena was thinking about Light's offer. She called Grouse and stated that she wanted to withdraw from Sacred. Salim and Eric seemed surprised. Salim asked the reason because they were the strongest team. Lena said that she didn't want to do this anymore, and that she was going to become the adventurer that was true to her heart. Grouse's attitude changed and he took out his sword, asking Lena if she dared to go against him. Lena was about to take out her sword too, but he told her that it was no use. Even when she had Sword Saint skills, she couldn't touch him. He then slapped her in the face and told her that glory goes hand in hand with pain. It was her patience and sacrifice that would bring happiness to many people. He then kneeled to hold Lena as if he wasn't the one who had just hit her. He made his creepy egoist guy smile and stated that they would save the world until they fell in love. In the next scene, they were going on their next quest, and all Lena could think about was if she endured, someone would surely be saved. Suddenly, they saw Light and Islay in front of them. When Grouse asked what he wanted, Light stated that he had come to take back his comrade. He then turned to Lena, asking to go to subjugate magic beasts. Islay added that since they were both newcomers, having her join would make them feel better. Lena tried to refuse once again, but Light didn't give up on her. However, she said it was too late as she was already a part of the Sacred. Grouse approved her and they were about to go, but Light stopped him and asked to have a battle. If he wins, he must let Lena leave. Grouse was about to refuse his duel offer, but when Light asked if he was afraid of losing, he decided that it was the right time to deter him. They introduced themselves, and then Grouse told him that he had to bet something corresponding. He said that if he won, Light would be banished from the Adventurers Guild forever, and never step into the Imperial capital again. Light accepted the conditions without thinking. Lena tried to stop him and explained that swords can't win against Grouse. Islay informed Light that Grouse's skill was Flash, a skill that closes the distance between the opponent in an instant so a careless approach would be cut off. Light didn't want anything to be unfair, so he told his own skills. But Grouse obviously didn't believe that he had two skills and made the first attack. The Light couldn't even see his movements, and the strike was so strong that he was barely holding up. Grouse closed the distance between them in a split second, and he had no inaccurate strikes. Grouse was so fast and strong that all he could do was defend himself. The pressure was completely different from the orc he had defeated. He had to hit him at all costs. So he started running, but when their swords crashed, Light's sword broke in half. Grouse told Lena that if she promised to serve him forever, he would let him go. The people were concerned about Grouse's real personality. Light told Lena that he was going to win, and she should trust him. Lena took his word and screamed that he wanted to go with Light. Light gained back his confidence and stood up against Grouse once again. Grouse was angrier than ever. Light borrowed a man's broom, which wasn't what everyone expected. Grouse was furious that he was underestimating him. Light imagined his steel handle, long and sharp tip. His sword swing speed was slightly better because looking at the action and then reacting caused delay. Grouse wanted this to end now and started preparing for his last attack. Light focused on his feelings instead of his eyes, and defeated Grouse within a second. Everyone's mouth was on the floor. The F-rank rookie crushed Grouse. The townspeople were praising and celebrating his win. Light turned to the rest of the Sacred group and warned them that if they mess with them again, they would end up just like Grouse. Lena came, and Light told her that she was now a free adventurer and could go solo or join a party she liked. While tearing up, Lena thanked him. Light then repeated his offer and asked if she would like to join him and Islay. She couldn't hold her tears any longer and stated that she had always wanted to do that. In the next chapter, we see Islay in the garden watering the berries. It was a week after the battle with Grouse, and they continued to do their job, taking care of the fruits. The house at the back where they were staying was definitely bigger. Lena came and brought them the breakfast. Currently, they were living in Lena's house and making this place an activity site at the Imperial capital because there was a spare room. Lena asked how his wounds were, and he said that he was completely recovered and that from now on he would accompany Lena. A man came and informed Lena that she had an invitation from Saint. He said that she wanted to hear more about the withdrawal from Sacred. Lena strictly stated that no matter how many times she asked, she had no interest in coming back. The man left there after stating that she wouldn't be welcomed at Sacred anymore. They then went to the Adventurers Guild and received unexpected approaches from people. They were inviting him to their group, but then someone informed the others that he was being watched by the Saints faction. Lena smiled and greeted the receptionist girls. They seemed so happy to see her and showed them the missions available, such as killing rat ghosts in the tunnel, fixing the roof in the slums, or finding a lost cat. They were all low-paying missions, so Light guessed that this was what happened when he messed up with the Saints' favorite child. The receptionist worried that they wouldn't take them, but Lena gladly accepted them. The village people were shocked to see Lena coming to the remote area. Their roofs were blown off due to the last storm. Lena suggested to split the work and get onto it. Meanwhile, the man who came to Lena's house informed the Sant that he couldn't bring Lena. But she didn't seem to be mad, as she had already arranged to negotiate with the guild. It was only a matter of time when she was already at the dead end. However, she was not delighted to hear that Lena was joining the newcomer Light in taking on a low-paid mission very happily. Light and Lena used their precious skills and healed the first house easily. They then moved to the next house and then the next mission until it was dark outside. In the end, they only made 100 gold, which was worth 3 pizzas. Lena said that she always wanted to use her skills to help those in need. That's why she left her previous group. Even though she had to do small tasks like today, she could be of much help to others, so she enjoyed what she was doing. But being like this wasn't what Light wanted, and she knew that because he had wanted to do bigger things since his childhood. But Light objected to her, saying that what they did today was amazing. Thanks to Lena, he had learned a lot more, and Aile also backed him up. Lena was glad. Now it was time to celebrate the founding ceremony together. Along with their vows, they were going to pray for good luck, and this was an adventurer's custom. He also mentioned that they should think of a name for their group. That sounded good, and they all prayed and swore under the stars with their new group name, Luxaria. The next day arrived, and Lena informed Light and Isley that there was a mission to appoint them. It was a B-rank subjugation mission, so Lena suggested asking the guild. Before they headed to the guild, Isley wanted to bring her snacks, and while she was gathering them, she picked a few skill fruits too. Meanwhile, the Saint's was in her garden, and apparently the mission they were appointed was from the Saint. Her worker wasn't sure about it because that mission was originally assigned to the S rank. Lena would be alright, but the other two would perish. Even though the Saints said they would pray for them to not get any bad luck, it was obvious from her face that she did this on purpose. The next chapter started in the fog, which was getting thicker, and they could not see anything clearly. Light asked Lena how far they went. She told Light that it should have only been somewhere around there according to the map. When they looked in front of them after going a little further, they saw a wonderful place that was called Castle of the Dead. 3 hours ago, when they were at the Adventurer Guild, the receptionist wanted Lena to wait because they were thinking she was needed on a mission. Light told them to let Luxaria handle that. The receptionist thanked them and told them they were in an emergency. Then Lena wanted them to tell her about the magic beast. However, they also didn't know anything about the magic beast. The receptionist told them that 2 months ago, during the examination of the distribution of magic beasts in the northern Montes Valley area, there was a group of adventurers who disappeared. After that, as the receptionist said, the adventurers who were searching for them also one by one. Up until now, they had all been A or B rank adventurers. 18 people whose whereabouts were unknown, and they were all outstanding adventurers. The receptionist gave Lena and Light a list of missed adventurers. Lena looked at the list and saw 2 people that she knew, Bork and Sierra. Lena told Light that those were the ones who taught her a lot when she was a newbie. Lena asked the receptionist what happened to them, but there was no information. The only hit left was as they were all heading towards the old castle of the Count of Monteses. It was the mansion of an adventurer from 30 years ago. There was no record of what kind of skill he had. The mansion had been in ruins ever since the Count passed away. They wanted Lena to find the place and find the missing people, then handed them a paper and told her that those were the completion conditions of that quest. Lena found something fishy there and told Light that this mission seemed too dangerous. However, Light seemed so excited to go on this mission. Lena asked him if he had nothing to worry about. He said he wanted to see that valley area. Isley told them they could use their bonuses to buy pizza and snacks. Lena couldn't believe that he was also thinking of bringing this little girl on that dangerous mission. He said Isley had appraisal skills, so she was important. Lena yelled at him and asked if she had already eaten the skill fruit. Light told her that she had eaten it by mistake, so they would get going now. He said he was not used to riding a horse, but it should have been fine, and he thought guild horses were used to humans, so it would be fine. When they arrived at the mansion, they thought it was amazing, and though people called it a mansion, it was as big as a castle. Light thought they would build one in the future, a house with a big farm and a place to practice. Isley said she wanted to live in a house full of sweets. Then suddenly, Isley's foot slipped, and as she was about to fall off the cliff, Light grabbed her hand, but as he was falling, Lena also held Light's hand and the 3 of them fell together. While they were falling, Light thought if he pushed against the pressure of the wind, then they could land on the ground without getting hurt. But there was a problem. When they were on the ground, Light asked them if they were all right, but Lena and Isley told him that not everything was really fine. The magic beasts finally appeared. The Light was ready to leave slashes on them. He had already cut one of them in half, but Lena told him to look at their equipment. They weren't magic beasts, they were adventurers. Undead, Isley said. People who died from being demonized would lose some of their intelligence, and people who were bitten would become just like them. They tried to be sure not to get bitten. Light was feeling the shock of having attacked a human on the sidelines. They were trying to understand the undead if they also had skills. The undead had skills similar to the skills of the missing people, so Lena thought that was why they couldn't come back. One of the undead was approaching Light from the side, but Lena warned him, and Lena knocked him out with a single sword blow. This meant that they had to defeat these adventurers. The one that Lena defeated said finally he got to let go and seemed happy to be defeated. Lena told them to let them rest in peace. Light apologized to Lena and thanked her for saving him. Lena told him that she understood why he hesitated, but they could not just let them be like that. She said they were forced to act in this case. Lena decided to head inside the castle because there might have been people still alive. When they were in the castle, they saw more undead bodies and skeletons there. One by one, they both began to destroy them. Light was getting now that the way of attacking should have been changed instantly depending on the opponent. Dead bodies had to be cut from their hearts and skeletons had to be cut from their backbones. Meanwhile, Lena was fighting with them by using the skilled Sword Saint extremely well. Until then, Light could not be considered proficient in the Sword Saint, but Lena was much more advanced than him. However, it was not the time to stand still, so he also took action. Iron Armor was approaching Islay, so Light told Islay to stay behind. Lena immediately got between Iron Armor and Islay and destroyed him. She precisely stabbed the gap in the armor, which was so cool for Light. Lena told him that she was going to train him in real combat for 3 months until he got bored. He seemed willing to learn it. Light thought that protecting Islay and fighting in combat at the same time, just a tiny moment of distraction could risk her life. From now on, he decided not to hesitate any longer, so he told them they were done there and decided to go to the second floor. He told them that he just remembered the total number of missing adventurers was 18. The number of dead bodies they saw was obviously more than that. They wondered what happened at that place. They saw a portrait of the Count of Montes. Then they heard a muttering sound. She asked how they could start without their main guest. She asked him which rondo he liked to die with. At the behind of Light, there were also undead coming. They questioned if the ones at the front baits were. He asked Islay if she could see anything with an appraisal. She said it said, domesticate. Lena told Light that one of many skills was that he was able to manipulate magic beasts. He wondered who manipulated those people. Then they saw a string all the way through the hallway. Those strings seemed to transfer magic, which meant if they went along the string, they would find the oligarch. They all decided to go behind the door. When they passed through the door, they saw a dance hall. They saw the owner of the muttering sound. She said she was tired of waiting for them to come. Light asked her who she was, and she said she was a seen black swan and her name was Dorotina. Light found it nice to finally get to meet a living person. Light said that Dorotina was definitely not a survivor. Islay realized and immediately told them her skill was necromancy, which was a skill that controlled dead people or undead demonic beasts at will. The opponent's skill or ability might have been also controllable, as Islay said. Dorotina said she was there to kill the Nutmaster. Light asked her why she was aiming at him. She said that was what she was ordered, and the rest was a secret. Lena told everyone to have fun while playing together, then the clash started. They decided to kill the zombies first, and they believed when the two were combined, it was not difficult at all. Dorotina asked Lena to go dance over while she was playing with Light. When Lena turned to fight, Bork and Sierra were standing in front of her. Islay warned her not to forget that they were zombies with skills. Bork used his claw skill, which was a skill with long, hard sword-like claws and increased muscle strength. Besides, Sierra used her mirror attack skill, which could move and attack just like the real body. Dorotina told Islay she was talking too much, so she said they had to deal with it first. Light immediately hugged her and told Dorotina not to even dare. Light and Islay were separated from Lena, so he tried to think of a way to both protect Islay and fight at the same time. Quickly, the zombies around Dorotina began to attack Light, and Dorotina had no intention of letting him breathe. Light used as many skills as he could in a row, however. Slashing them over and over again didn't help anything. Islay realized that necromancy could not create zombies but controlled them. However, in that case, she couldn't understand where that unbelievable amount of zombies came from, because the castle had been empty for a long time, unlike places where there were many dead people like graveyards or battlefields. Therefore, Islay decided to find it out. Dorotina said Islay's guessing was better than she thought, so she ordered zombies to get out of the game. Light yelled at her and asked if she was aiming at a kid like a coward. She said that the party didn't have that kind of etiquette. Light was just standing next to Islay, trying to kill the zombies that approached her. But this did nothing but tire him out. Seeing this, Dorotina made fun of him and said that Light's dancing was awkward. Islay held tight to Light's shoulder. Dorotina asked if they were doing the couple dance now, and she said she was jealous. Meanwhile, Lena thought that it was impossible to not fight, because when she was brought to the imperial capital, they were the first to talk to her, and always supported her. She realized that she could not see Light and Islay, so she must have gotten past that quickly. She must have cut off the thread of control, at least she might have found the weak spot. When Bork and Sierra told Lena that what she did wasn't wrong and their journey stopped there, Lena needed to continue doing it for them. She thought what she could convey with her hands was the best thing she could send to everyone. In order not to be heartbroken, she decided to end it quickly, and she defeated Bork and Sierra. She bid farewell to funerales. There were so many zombies that Light couldn't see them all. Light and Islay needed to get to a position where Islay could get a better view, so he jumped so hard that he grabbed onto the chandelier on the ceiling, which worked enough for now. Light grumbled about his shoulder, but Islay told him that she wasn't that heavy, although she ate a lot of junk food. Light interrupted her and just wanted her to continue doing her job. She pointed at a zombie who used the skill summon. When Light looked at him, he realized that he was the Count of Montes being turned into a zombie. Doratina was afraid that her plan was about to be revealed. Then Light saw something very gigantic and asked Islay what it was. She said it looked like death, and it was the Soul Reaper, which was an extremely dangerous magic beast that could turn a living person into a zombie. The slimy liquid from that scythe could turn anyone into a zombie. However, it wasn't looking at Light and Islay, so they wondered what he was looking at. When they looked the same way, they saw a living person who hadn't been turned into a zombie yet. It didn't last long, but he was a survivor. Islay told Light that the Soul Reaper and the zombie that had just been turned into were both being manipulated by necromancy from Doratina. Doratina said being able to summon the Soul Reaper must have been due to the Count's summon. She said the once famous adventurer was also turned into a zombie by the magic beast he called out. The disappearances started with the Count's Soul Reaper summoning. Doratina said a flood of adventurers came there in vain and all became the bait of Soul Reaper. Light had a hard time understanding how such successful adventurers came to be this way. But Doratina said he didn't understand anything about that world because he only saw the bright side of it. Doratina asked Light if he knew about taboo skills. She said it was like people would hate anyone because they obtained those skills. She said the Count's summon was also one of them, and initially, obtaining a very strong skill, many people praised him as a hero, but asked him what if a magic beast like that appeared in town one day. She continued, what if their hero suddenly changed his temper and used that disgustingly overwhelming power to target them? Gradually, she said, they were riddled with fear. Both the people and the government gradually lost their trust in him, and in the end, the Count was branded as suspicious of rebellion. Light had a hard time believing what she told and said so that was why he ran away to that gloomy land. Doratina approved that and said furthermore, in order to kill the Count, many assassins were constantly being sent. The most recent one was a group meeting as a survey of the distribution of magic beasts, but it was actually the Purge army sent in. Perhaps to repel such intruders, the Count summoned something like this. Doratina said he ended up thinking, even if he died, he must have dragged them all along. Light told Islay that the guild didn't say anything about the Purge army. Islay said the Count's skill was not recorded, but she wondered how she knew such things. Doratina said enough chatting and wanted to continue their dance. She said being sent to this place felt like a dream because the worst case scenario was the best stage. She said if using necromancy controlled the summon holder, the amount of marionettes she could play with was limitless. It was hard to defeat them all in order since they were separated from Lena, so they needed to choose who they would defeat first. Starting from Soul Reaper with just one hit could lose their life. The Count could summon many strong enemies or attack the one who controlled the two, Doratina. The Soul Reaper's sight was so far so they could barely stand it. Light thought they could not keep dodging like that every single time. He wanted Islay to find any strategies and wanted her to start from Soul Reaper. She said maybe the inner core of its throat was the weak point. However, Doratina told them not to even dare because she was adding more marionettes. Light seemed very convinced to kill it. He made a few moves, but it didn't work at all. Soul Reaper didn't get hit. He wondered what if that disgustingly overwhelming power targeted them. Nutmasters had the potential to increase skills unlimitedly. It was something that existed in that world that broke the rules as if it was a blessing, but Light might have been hated too. Following in the Count's footsteps, then he tried to focus on the combat and protect Islay. He told Islay he had observed and noticed how the zombies move. Islay said Doratina used necromancy to specify the target and attack method. Light thought she was right. The magic beasts were all tamed, and it seemed that the attack would be repeated over and over until a new order was received. Doratina seemed bothered and said she would eliminate them and end everything right there. In the middle of the attack, Light used the Sword Soul Right Flamberga skill and started flying. He realized that everything was just as expected. They were all attacking at the same time. Doratina was surprised that he became a sword saint. Then she immediately changed Soul Reaper's attack target, and she wanted to get rid of Lena with all their might. Lena asked Doratina if she expected that move, and it pissed her off. Lena said she wouldn't kill her. There were still tons of things for her to ask. Islay saw Lena, and meanwhile Light killed the Count, while the Count dying told him that he had skill and hate and he would also someday become like the Count. Light told him that he would never be that kind of person. Light told Doratina that she couldn't call any more friends now, but then she made a move, so Light told her to get out of there, because that zombie was calling out something. Doratina said it was the last Agitado who was a dark dragon. Lena said she heard of it. Even with an S-rank adventurer, no one could match it. The highest level was unknown. Light suggested combining their skills and maybe they could beat it this way. Islay did not agree with this at all and immediately rejected it. She said if something went wrong, all of them would have gotten killed. The dark dragon had a resist slash. The sturdy scales made sword attacks impossible to penetrate. Light wanted to use the strongest firepower of the sword saint. He used the sword Soul Ritioniki, but it didn't work. His sword was in pieces. Islay said she already told him. Light asked Lena what to do now. He said they would end them if they went back. Lena said that even if there was no way to win, at least let the two of them escape. The only choice they had left was to fight them directly. Islay said she had an idea and gave it to the Nutmaster. Light said now he understood the assignment. To go big or go home. Doratina summoned the dark dragon, a beast that even she couldn't control. A man with a mask came and grabbed Doratina and left them with the dragon. Islay confused Light and Lena by taking out her skill fruit. Islay explained that she thought they might need it, so she brought one with her, and it was better than fighting the dark dragon like this forever. While she was talking, the dragon made an attack and they barely ran away from it. Light also acknowledged that this was the only way. However, Lena couldn't even believe he was seriously considering doing that. Light said that the poison in the fruit does not have any effect on him, and he could for sure eat as many fruits as he wanted. Lena objected, saying that he didn't even know if it would be a good skill, and there was a possibility to obtain the skill that removes the Sword Saint skill. That was also possible because there were abomination skills. Light knew that there were risks to eating this fruit, but he could not think of a different way that all three of them could survive. As a Nutmaster himself, he was not planning on dying, so he took a bite from the skill fruit and felt the heat in his body once again. Meanwhile, Lena was trying to protect him from the dragon's attack as he was suffering from the side effects. Islay used her appraisal skill and saw his new skill. The new skill was insect resistant. Light asked if the dragon was an insect, and unfortunately it wasn't. Light got annoyed that it didn't work. Meanwhile, the dragon made a fireball and attacked them once again. Lena told them to not worry as she was distracting the dark dragon. Light told Islay to give him 2 fruits because he wanted to eat them at the same time. He wanted to let the poison spread out at the same time because they didn't have time. He ate them both, and one of the skills was cat gathering. Islay was a bit jealous, but this skill was completely useless as it allowed him to make friends with cats. The other one was increased weapon endurance, which means his weapons wouldn't be damaged easily. This would be pretty useful if he didn't just break his sword. The side effects were hitting Light so hard. Eating 2 fruits once also doubled the side effects. He looked at the remained fruits in his hands and thought that if he didn't get the right one this time, he wouldn't be able to move. Lena was also fighting with the dragon, but his sword had reached its limit. The dragon eventually hit her. The Light could not wait any longer and bit the fruit. Lena was on the floor and having a hard time moving. Light suddenly called the dragon and stood up in front of it. Lena asked Islay what skill he had. Islay explained that his skill was Sandman, which was a skill that makes opponents sleep by letting them small the sprinkled sand. Light counted on the Sandman's skill and was used against the dragon. It was rioting against Sandman, but it didn't look like working first. The sand was all brushed off before touching the dark dragon. Light asked how far Sandman could fly if it was separated from him. She estimated that it was about 3 meters. They could only gain more confidence if the dark dragon sniffed their sand. His sword was broken, but if he held it, Sword Saint could be reactivated. A moment of opportunity came and he threw the broken piece of the sword. The girls were confused to see him destroying the ceiling with the tip of the durability-enhancing sword. Light then started to run towards the dragon and jumped on top of the falling rocks. When he was close enough to send the Sandman, he did it and successfully made it sleep. The girls hugged each other for the happiness of winning. Now it was time to go because the place was about to collapse. They all started to run while Lena asked Light if he was okay and he comforted her. He was also excited to get their bonus. They took their horses and started to go to the capital. The Imperial capital was right on the outside of the forest. There was no way Light would take his hands off this train. At the Imperial capital Lumious Arch, the soldiers were shocked to see Lena. They opened the gate and let them inside. Light thanked Islay, and when he was thanking Lena too, he collapsed from exhaustion. The girls gathered around him with concerned voices. In the next scene, we see Lena taking a bath when Islay informs her that she has added the thermal gems and she can take her time with her bath. She was so comfortable with this lithium recovering bath. When she was done with her bath, she put on her clothes and went to the kitchen to make something to eat. Islay also came and helped her. She asked if she had washed the vegetables, and Islay added that she also set the table. Lena then remembered that she was supposed to water the field before taking a bath, but Islay stated that she also watered the fields. Lena was amazed by her niceness. They were sure that Light was going to be pretty happy. Suddenly, Light made a dramatic entrance. Lena, unbothered, asked why he was up. He said that his throat was dry, so he woke up. But they told him that he needed to rest properly as he ate 4 skill fruits at the same time. He tried to stop them, saying that he had been resting for 2 days, but they already put him on his bed. Lena checked his fever and he no longer had it. But this doesn't mean he can be careless. Lena and Aile prepared some food that was easy to eat. The menu was chicken breast and fresh vegetable soup along with honey lemonade. When Lena said it was time for them to go now, Light got curious. Lena said that they received a mandatory summoning letter from the Adventurers Guild. It seemed that the appearance of the Dark Dragon had caused some panic, and yesterday there was a public announcement, but she still wanted to confirm the situation directly. Light was shocked and wanted to join them, but Islay immediately put him in his bed again, telling him he must rest. She promised to listen to everything carefully and tell him about it later. When they left, Light started eating his meal. At the Adventurers Guild, Lena and Aile were informed that there were about 2 more hours until the meeting. Lena opposed this, saying that she was summoned by the guild. The receptionist woman explained that the manager was busy now. Moreover, the guest might not be able to enter the meeting hall because she wasn't on the adventurers list. Lena told her to register Aile now with a firm voice, so the receptionist woman handed them the registration form. While filling in, Islay asked what to write on the parents column because she didn't know her parents' names. Lena remembered that Light took care of her as she didn't have any family. She told her to leave that blank. The other adventurers were criticizing Lena for bringing a little girl into an adventurer guild. Aile asked if she had come to the wrong place. Compared to the others, she was wearing a very cool costume, so she felt nervous. Lena convinced her that she hadn't come to the wrong place because she was the one who had the appraisal skills. But lately, Lena had recognized the importance of appearances even though Light didn't care about that. Since they still had some time, Lena suggested going shopping, but Aile didn't bring any money. Lena stated that this wasn't a problem because Era was like his younger sister and she also wanted to buy some stuff too. Meanwhile, Light was at home dying of boredom. The girls arrived at the shopping mall bustling road with ice cream in their hands. Aile was amazed by the countless stores. It seemed there were accessory stores around there, and Lena asked if she wanted to try any place. Aile pointed at the high-end jewelry store. That place looked like somewhere that sells imitations, but Islay was already heading. The man welcomed them, but Lena was still trying to convince Islay to go to a more reliable place. Islay showed a diamond to Lena. Lena was shocked because it looked so much like a normal stone. Thanks to Islay's appraisal skill, she was sure it was a diamond. Lena was once again amazed by her appraisal skill. The seller man didn't even know that it was diamond, and it looked like he wanted to get rid of the stone. Lena immediately bought the diamond. She wasn't sure about the accurate value, but this price seemed to be a snip, so she was sure about it. Thanks to Islay's appraisal skill, they had got a good bargain. The next store was closed. They went to the Charcy Street. While walking down the street, the women who saw Lena were complimenting her. Lena overheard them talking about a group opposing the Saintess party and attacking groups of sword saints. Lena also heard a lot of rumors like that, but decided to keep quiet. They went inside a store, and the shop owner welcomed Lena. She stated that they were looking for a suitable costume for Islay. However, Lena was already dragged by them, and they made her try a bunch of new costumes. Lena had enough of the costumes and told them to bring something for Islay. The shop owner found Islay so cute and immediately brought a costume with bunny ears, but Islay didn't seem to like that. Lena encouraged her to say her favorite style so that the workers could help her. She reminded her that Ira was indispensably a part of the future Light that had been shown clearly in the batter at the Count's palace. Islay said that she wanted to be like Lena, and wanted a costume that was really cool as an adventurer in front of people's eyes. After picking her outfit, the meeting time arrived and they went back to the Adventurers Guild. Islay Era, with her brand new cutest outfit, was ready to enter the meeting hall. Later on, Light told Suima that Sword Saint, which meant when you took your sword up, your power would be boosted astronomically, was not easy at all. Meanwhile, he was doing one-handed push-ups and counting 77, 78, 79. He better be doing 100 a day like Saitama. Suddenly, Suima hit Light's face, and Light asked her what was wrong. Suima told him to sleep properly. Light told her that he didn't think that Suima's spirit would be so ordinary, and he asked if he died, she would disappear too. Suima told him to relax because she slept for 2 days and her body's mana was in a bad condition. Then she pulled his collar. He told her he would die if she pulled his collar like that, then she dropped him on his bed. He said he wanted to go to the guild too, and it would have been great if he could defeat the evil dragon with that incomparable power. Then he started to think about Lena. He thought Lena must have been praised now, everyone was very excited. He thought he wanted to be cheered too. Then finally, Suima thought, he went to sleep. However, he was wide awake and told her to go to the guild. Meanwhile, Lena and Islay were at the Adventurer Guild Center Hall and everyone looked so busy, which looked so stressful. Islay told Lena that it was a relief that Lena was there because everyone wanted to get more information about the evil dragon. Lena said she didn't just come there to give information about the evil dragon. She said her purpose was to find the origin of Doratina. She said Doratina listened to someone's order from the beginning and aimed at their lives, so Lena wanted to question her, but everything seemed so vague due to the evil dragon. Lena asked if Doratina had swept up in the ruins meant she was still alive. Under every circumstance, Lena said, that future Light coming to the Count's palace was due to the guild. It must have been an order from the higher authorities. Lena said if he showed up, she would release Dark Attack. Doratina. That reaction was worth seeing. Before entering the meeting hall, Lena and Isley needed to hand over their weapons, so Lena thought she could not rely on her sword. It was better for her to just stand around. When they entered the meeting hall, they found the hall very large. The guild's main area consisted of 4 different departments: the Investigation Department, the Security Department, the Finance Department, Inspection Department. Member from Department 4, Lena Floria Sama from Future Light, had arrived, someone said. Isley told Lena that there were 4 main parts of the Adventurer Guild, and their guild was the largest in the Holy Land. It was operated following the 4-department organizational structure. The leader of every department was all gathered at that meeting. Isley told Lena that she could say that the meeting gathered all of the great talents of the guild. The Investigation Department is responsible for the ecology, as well as topographical survey and distribution of monsters. The head of this department is Hanabushi. The Security Department is responsible for maintaining order in the surrounding area and inside the Holy Capital. The head of this department is Tora Hyge, who wants to clean the evil dragon up with just one hand. The Finance Department manages and deals with financial demand. The head of this department is Hakamori, who loves talking with numbers and giving orders. And finally, the Inspection Department is responsible for managing the guild and classifying the rank of adventurers. The head of the department is Saintess. Lena was surprised to see Saintess and said that she had not seen her for a long time. Isley didn't know who Saintess was. Lena told her that Saintess was the best in the Inspection Department and that the General Inspection Department could keep an eye on all departments and handle them. Lena said it was the place that had the highest authority in the guild. She said if there had been the appearance of a sword saint, things would not have been like that. Lena told Isley that honestly she didn't want to see her, but she still wanted to see that reaction. Isley asked Lena if she knew what exact skill she had. However, the Saintess interrupted them and asked Lena to talk to them about the evil dragon because they were all busy. Lena said first she had something to ask, then said they were attacked by a girl called Doratina by a dark attack at the Count's palace. She said Doratina used the soul manipulating skill to control the undead. Count Montes, the owner of the palace, she said, was the one who summoned the evil dragon. About Doratina and the evil dragon, she asked if they had any information. Lena said she had met those who had many skills, but in this situation she had no idea. Tora, head of the security department, said they should have researched the one that summoned the evil dragon. Hana, the head of the investigation department, said if she used her skills to search in the library, they might have found something. Haka, the head of the finance department, said revealing personal profiles needed agreement from 4 heads, so if Hana revealed it herself, she had to pay the fines. Saintess said no matter what now, the thing that they wanted to know the most was the location of the evil dragon. Someone in the meeting hall stood with a thick book in his hand and asked for the right to speak from the investigation department. Then he read that there was a precedent that there were 5 villages destroyed when the evil dragon appeared more than 10 years ago in Mishrea. He said the most urgent problem now was to confirm the location of the evil dragon as fast as possible. Although they had sent scout birds to the Count's palace, he continued, the silhouette of the evil dragon wasn't found. Isley said he had woken up from sleep because of light. Hana said if the scout birds could find out something from the evil dragon, she could detect its location immediately. She just needed a small part of the evil dragon so she could follow its trail. Lena put a piece of long shell on the table and told them they could have a look at that. The Saintess asked what that black thing was. Lena asked Isley if she could figure out what that thing was by using her appraisal skills. Isley found out that the thing was recorded as the evil dragon scale. Lena said she picked that thing up before running out of there. Hana said they could find the location of the evil dragon. Before giving the evil dragon scale, Lena said she had a condition. Hana said she didn't think such an important thing would be given for free no matter how much she would pay for that. Then she turned to the head of the finance department and he asked how much it was worth. Lena said she didn't need money and wanted them to let her know all the information about Doratina. Authorities at the meeting hall objected to that because they said that was a direct appeal to the heads, and even though she was a sword saint, that was still impolite. However, Hana said no matter what, she still wanted to know, so she said they would make a special case and their highest priority was the evil dragon. Tora said publicizing this would not have any effect. Besides, Haka said even though it was indirect if Doratina was the one that summoned the evil dragon, she must be involved in that. Saintess also agreed that but, she said, being allowed didn't mean that she could find the information that she wanted. Lena said it didn't matter, so Hana decided to search it for her. Hana was looking through the library for any information stored in books. Then she found it. She started to read, and it was written that 12 years ago in the West there was a village called Ashina. There a young girl called Doratina Belbelli was given a skill fruit. The skill that she obtained was soul manipulation. The one who appraised her skill back then was the Saintess. Lena believed that Saintess knew Doratina and asked her if it was that so. The Saintess said unfortunately every year she gave skill fruits to 100 people so she wouldn't be able to remember an event from 12 years ago. Lena said if it was like that there would be no document to find. She said at least she had some clues on Dorotina Belbelli and Ashina village. That was enough to make that deal worthwhile. The saint thanked Lena for providing an important clue. She said, however, that today was the day that Luxaria was removed from the list. Lena asked her why they cancelled the registration. The Saintess said there was a letter from the leader of Sword Saint Grouse. She said Light Underwood used force to make Lena leave unjustly. Then Light appeared, and he said he was there to receive their compliments. Everyone seemed surprised to see Light. The Saintess said that it seemed that the leader had come, but Light questioned why the atmosphere was so different from what he imagined. The Saintess told him that their team had violated the guild's terms. Therefore, she said, their team's registration had been cancelled. That was a mandatory cancellation. Light asked them how they could decide that. Isley said that the inspection department had the right to allow or dissolve a team. She said if the inspection department found any problems during the formation process, they could judge and force its cancellation. Light said it didn't matter even if they were accepted by the guild or not, the three of them were still Luxaria. The Saintess asked him if it was that, so then she said she changed her mind and told Light that she would give him a chance to prove himself. She said there was a difficult quest that required him to slay S-ranked monsters. She said she would have asked the Sword Saint, but thanks to Light the quest had been cancelled. She said if he could complete that quest in their place, she would cancel the dissolution order and would pay him appropriately. Lena asked how it could be so easy and Sintis said she was touched by his seriousness. Then she asked Sight if he would accept. Everyone in the room was talking. She was being kind-hearted, just as expected from the Saintess. But they questioned whether it made sense to give a newbie an S-rank quest. Lena wanted Light to think carefully because there must have been some conspiracy. Light thought if he succeeded, he would be paid as well as increase his rating, so he accepted it. He said he would write his name on the adventurer list, so he wanted them to just wait and see. The Saintess said it was an excellent answer. Lena told Light that it was a trap. He said he made up his mind that he would write his name in history. He said those who stand in his way would have to fight for their lives. However, he said he already had the best companions. The Saintess said if that was so, they wished them good luck. At the beginning of the next chapter, Luxaria is at the Adventurers Guild Center Hall to talk about detailed information about the S-rank mission. The mission target was Jabberwock. The natural habitat was a former forest. Hana told them that it was a carnivorous plant. She said a Jabberwock was a greedy plant and they ate both monsters and humans. She said especially because they had wings, they could fly to close the distance. Light said it was quite dangerous and asked what its weakness was. Hana said plants were afraid of fire, but this species could fly so it was difficult to attack them. Light suggested lulling them to sleep. Hana said it depended on the measures, then asked Light if his skill was Nutmaster and then how he was going to lull them to sleep. He said he would do that with Hypno. Lena thought having this many skills should have been kept a secret. Hana asked Light if he wanted her to peek into his skill. The ones in the hall told Hana that she still had other appointments. She didn't want to leave there and resisted to stay because she was still talking to Light and she wanted to continue this. Light and Lena questioned if she was a nobleman because that kind of behavior was unexpected. Tora Haige got up from his seat and walked out the door. He was complaining that sitting for so long had shaped his butt into a square. He ordered everyone to join the practice. Light was surprised that if he looked closely, that old man, the Void Master Tora Haige, was a celebrity. Light said he had been an adventurer since before Light was born. Now he was a famous adventurer in the guild. Then suddenly Tora called Light and told him that he was a man of metal. He giggled and told him that was all he had got. He said he believed Light could do it. Light thought Tora Haige was really nice. Tora told him not to just talk but also prove it to him. Light was ready to do so. Then Saintess walked out of the door and Lena told Light when he had accepted the order. You couldn't take it back anymore, but the Saintess must have been aiming for something so they had to be careful. Isley said that was what she thought too. She said she tried to appraise the Saintess's skill but she really couldn't see anything. Light asked if her skill was strong enough. Isley said it was not that. She had successfully appraised the evil dragon's scale and library looking through. Lena asked if the Saintess could block the appraisal skill. Then she wondered if that was so. Light told them it was time to focus on preparing for their adventure. However, now Haka, the head of the finance department, walked out of the door and called out to Light. He introduced himself, then guild rules stated that he was not allowed to carry weapons during the meeting. He said a penalty of 1,000 gold would be deducted from the rewards of their next adventure. Light told Isley that the sword was broken, so it should not have counted as a weapon. Lena told them it was not like that. He said the sword belonged to the guild, so they had to compensate for 5,000 gold. Light was completely shocked. Isley asked Light why it was every time he returned a sword it was always broken. He said it was 2 times. The first time was in the battle with Grouse and the second time was in the battle with the evil dragon. Islay told him that he had broken 2 swords and from then he couldn't borrow any more swords. Light said he needed to have his sword. Islay asked Light if he would buy ready-made weapons or order at the forge. Islay recommended ordering at the forge as his adventurer rank was raised. The only weapon in this world that was suitable for Light's skill and fighting style was when the owner possessed new skills according to Islay. She said she would go get the directions to the smiths in the city for him. Light said even though it was the holy sword when he attacked the evil dragon, it broke too. He thought it was because he was not strong enough. Lena thought that it was because the power of the sword saint was too strong. The sword couldn't handle it. But now, Islay said, Light could use the weapon's powder boosting skill. Lena said thanks to it, the power of the holy sword could be increased and it wouldn't be easily broken anymore. Lena said her sword was ordered at the sword smithy too, and it seemed that it increased her speed when using sword saint. Light said that what he needed now was a super sharp sword, which could handle the power of a sword saint. First, Light thought he had to find a new excellent sword, and next was to defeat the evil dragon. Then he wanted to find the sword that was suitable for him together. Lena told Light that it would take a few days to forge a sword and begin their adventure. She said she wanted to visit Ashina village in the meantime. She said she would leave the preparation work to the two. Now that she had some clues about Dorotina, she wanted to find out more about it as soon as possible. Lena said the attack on Dorotina and the Saintess must have had some sort of connection. She wanted to find some proof of this and she was convinced that she could do it in her way, and she definitely would protect Luxaria. Lena told Light and Islay that they wouldn't see each other for a few days, so she wanted Islay to take care of Light for her. Islay told her to leave it to her. Light said he was the one who took care of her. Lena said she would get going now. Light told her to take care of herself and be careful, and they clasped their hands and said goodbye. Then she left. At the Hulf capital craftsman's town, we see a woman being chased by a bunch of men. Meanwhile, Islay and Light were wandering in the streets. Islay noticed that there was also a food court, but Light stated that they would do this later, because he aimed to create the strongest sword. However, at the instruction center, he was shocked to hear that his request was difficult. Even though he just asked if they could introduce him to a good smithy or not, the receptionist man stated that in this craftsman's town, there were a lot of smithies that belonged to the Saintess's party. That was the reason why no one would help a person with his reputation. The rumor that Luxaria declared war against the Saintess had begun to spread. No matter what, Light still wanted to have a sword and asked him to find a place that could make it. He said that there was only one place that could do this. It was the Borst workshop in the western part of Craftsman's Town. It was the weapon workshop of Borst, a legendary smith. Thanks to his prominent forging and metal carving skills, he was supported by a lot of people. The word legendary seemed to catch Light's attention. After getting the directions, they left there. The Light was sure that Borst would make him a brilliant sword. On their way, all he could talk about was how his sword would be. While talking, the woman who was being chased by the people ran next to them, and Light did not think it was appropriate that a girl was being chased by those guys. The men were eventually cornered by them, but right before they hit her, Light held the man's fist and stated how crude that 3 big men bullying a little girl. They started to attack Light and told him to stay out of this, but he grabbed the woman and told her to stay behind him. He was sure that there wouldn't be a problem with his sword saint skill. The girl was already worried that he was going to fight with them with just one sword, and seeing his sword was broken did not help. Light attacked the first one with hilt strike and defeated. Seeing him taking a big guy like that scared the others. They tried to explain to him that they were the victims, but he didn't listen to them, so they took their injured friend and left there. The girl's name was Monica, and she liked Islay. She wanted to repay them and invited them for some tea and pancakes. Light politely refused and mentioned that they were going to a place called Borst Workshop. Monica said that that was her workshop. They were both surprised and happy. Light thought she could be an apprentice or receptionist in the workshop. Monica told them to follow her and she would lead the way. They arrived at her shop and went inside, but Light was surprised that there wasn't any other craftsmen. Monica explained that there wasn't any, and this place only had one producer, seller, and manager. She then welcomed them to Monica Borst's smithy. Monica was happy that he came here because of her reputation. Light thought the smith must be an old burly man. Monica understood that it must have been surprising to see a cute, stylish girl like her was the smith he was looking for. To express her gratitude to him for saving her life, she wanted to introduce her favorite products at favorable prices. She then showed them a frying pan full of holes. She said that if they bake the dough with this, they could make ball-shaped pancakes. She added that the mold could be taken apart so that they could use it as a normal frying pan. She named her invention Monica Pan. She said that if they bought it right now, they would also be given fish-shaped, hearth-shaped, and cat-shaped molds. However, Light stated that he would prefer one big pancake. Monica tried to convince him, but as long as he could eat it, he didn't care what shape it had. Monica was frustrated that even though it was a revolutionary product, she couldn't sell it at all. People from earlier were the same. She thought they would buy it, but they said she ripped them off and chased her everywhere. Moving on, Light was a little surprised that a smith makes frying pans too. He then saw the hoe blade and said that he was a nut farmer. Monica assumed it must take him a lot of time to harvest. Light said that it was fairly time-consuming. He could use his skill to reduce the growing time, but harvesting was totally by hand. Monica said that she had the thing he needed. To thank him, she decided to show him the manufacturing right there. This made Light pretty excited. Monica wanted his hand and started to explain the process. The material was a bar of morkite ore. It was cheap, light, and rust-resistant. She put it in the kiln to heat it. Then she smashed and forged it. Isla used her skill and read Monica's skill. It was a skill called super refining, making her able to use a hammer to smash and change the properties of metal however they wanted. Normally, forging metal means repeating the heating and smashing stage again and again, but with her skill, she just needed one strike and she could adjust the material to become harder or softer freely. But she mentioned that she can't transform one type of metal into another. Light was amazed. But super refining wasn't the only thing. She has to be able to shape the heated part. Light and Isla watched her very carefully. Monica honed it to sharpen the blade and smoothen the surface, then carved her signature onto the finished product, and the scissor with Monica's mark had been completed. As she measured earlier, the scissors fit his hand perfectly. She then brought a piece of wood and told him to cut it. Light didn't think a scissor could cut a wood, but surprisingly it did. The Light was shocked once again because he didn't even use his skill to cut it. It was all because of the sharpness of the scissors. This made him 100% sure that she was the legendary smith. He couldn't even imagine how good the sword she made would be. He grabbed her shoulders and wanted her to make a sword for her. However, to his surprise, she said that she hated things like swords, so she wouldn't do that. Light suspected that this workshop could also belong to the Saintess's party. Monica, the blacksmith, tried to explain by saying she doesn't forge swords anymore, but if he considered it, she would make it no matter how many he needed. Even if she said it like that, Light still needed a sword to deal with subjugation tasks. Monica said that when she saw him bringing a broken sword and looking for a smithy, she figured he would ask for that. But she wanted to sell those pans no matter what, so she brought him there. Light wondered how desperate she could be to sell this pan. She said that he had to buy it because she wanted to prove that even though she didn't forge swords, she was still a craftsman that everyone needed. Light was confused because he heard from the instruction center that this was a weapon workshop. Monica said that that wasn't the workshop. The workshop they were talking about was the Borst worship across the street. They were surprised to see there were two Borst workshops. Monica said that she would talk to the other workshop about forging a sword for him, but Light wanted her to make a sword. He said that with super refining and Monica's techniques, she could create a good sword. She realized that Light was not listening to her, so she grabbed his arm and told him to follow her. There were so many craftsmen working on something, and their master was a big bearded man. Light and Isla came and he said that he wanted to make a sword. He then asked Monica, who was right behind him, why she was hiding. The other craftsmen were surprised to see her. Their master did not seem very pleasant to see her. Monica said that she was looking for someone to forge a sword for Light. Light and Isla figured that the master and Monica were father and daughter. Her father's name was Ivar, and he assumed that Monica couldn't deal with the customers, so she brought them here. Monica responded saying that it was better than creating weapons to sell to suspicious businessmen. They fought for a while, and Monica regretted her decision. She apologized for disturbing them and left the shop. Light asked Ivar if he could make a sword for him, but Ivar refused, saying that they had their hands full with a large order for the next 6 months, so they didn't have time to take on a new order. Even though there were other places, Light still wanted Monica to make it for him. While they were walking out of the shop, one of the workers came and asked if he was Light. Light confirmed him, but was still confused that he knew his name. Kane, Ivar's disciple, said that he needed the duel between Light and Grouse. After seeing a highly S-rank adventurer being defeated by an F-rank newbie with a mop, he became Light's fan. But because of that, Light was hated by those who followed the Saintess's party. Kane figured that this was the reason why he came there, because the only shop that didn't follow the Saintess's party was his master and Monica. Light was curious about that. He asked why they opened 2 different workshops. Kane explained that Monica was originally one of their workshop's smiths. Besides, the real smithing skills begin passed down by his master. Since she received the super refining skill 3 years ago, she immediately became popular in the holy capital. They made a name as the legendary Smiths Borst family's father and daughter. But because of an incident half a year ago, the situation changed. Their delivery carriage was attacked by bandits in the suburbs of the holy capital. Master's mother was in that carriage and she was killed. Isla and Light were shocked, but there was more. The criminals were arrested immediately by the security department, but the murder weapon was engraved with Monica's signature. Monica, of course, had not dealt directly with those bandits. The customer who bought her sword resold it, back and forth, until it came into the hands of the bad guys. No matter what the reason was, when she knew the fact that the sword she forged had caused the fatal wound to her grandmother, Monica couldn't deal with this pain. That was the story behind her hate towards the swords. Light now understood why she couldn't make a sword, but still wondered the reason leading to the terrible relationship between her and his master, and the workshop separation. Before he could explain this to Light, someone came and thanked Cain. A man named Zamd, a merchant, and his friend came and asked Cain if his master Ivar was there. His friend was Doug. Zamd asked Light if he was seeking to become a disciple, and Light responded by saying that he was seeking to become a customer. Doug laughed and said that this place wasn't free to receive new orders. Light figured that they were not pleasant guys. Zamd felt like he had seen Light before, but before he remembered, Ivar came and asked if there was any problem. Zamd showed the additional order, and besides, for the next year, he said that they were going to buy weapons from his shop every week. Cain was shocked at how unreasonable he was because even now they have to try so hard to deliver the weapons every week. Doug said that if they couldn't do it, they would have to count on Monica, who had the unique skill. Ivar kept his silence. Doug mentioned that super refining was the thing that everyone concerned with weapons desires. With it, they could make countless high-quality swords from low-quality materials. Light reminded them that Monica doesn't make swords anymore, but in this case, Zamd stated that he would have to use force. He said that even though he was a merchant, he wouldn't give him any mercy. According to Uzle, Zamd had thunder summoning skill. Ivar finally spoke and told him to give him the contract and sign it. After they left, Cain explained to Light that Blackbird merchants use Monica to put pressure on Ivar. For the sake of protecting his daughter, Ivar reluctantly accepts the contract. Ivar said that because of what happened to his mother, Monica was dissatisfied with his weapon business and that's why she left to open a workshop alone. Ivar requested them to not tell this to Monica because he thought it was unnecessary. Managing this place and supporting the disciples need money, and he only knows how to forge and sell weapons, not how to earn money. At night, Monica's door was knocked and it was Light and Isili. Monica reminded them that she wouldn't make a sword for him no matter what, but they just wanted to have dinner. Monica was surprised, but did not refuse. While they were eating their pizzas, Monica expressed her surprise about Islay's skill because the craftsman town was pretty interested in skills like hers. She even offered a job for Islay in her workshop. However, Islay stated that she wanted to be an adventurer with Light. Monica was envious of Light for being admired by a good girl. She then suggested ordering another pizza and told them to eat what they wanted because she was going to pay. Light wasn't sure about this because he was the one who invited her. However, Monica stated that she wanted to repay their help, but she couldn't make the thing he wanted. Even so, she was happy because it had been half a year since she had had dinner with someone. Light then became comfortable and left his politeness. In the Blackbird merchant's head office, Doug was informing Zamd that Light was the one whom the Black Swan couldn't capture, and if they could catch the prey that the special forces missed, they would achieve great fear. They hoped to increase the Blackbird merchant's and master's rank. When Monica left the pizza shop, Zamd came and asked her to spare some time for him, but before Monica refused him, he captured her. Meanwhile, Light and Islay were on their way home while talking about Monica. Light noticed that Islay was sleepy, so he offered to carry her on his back because she had been out of the house with Lena since early in the morning, joined the meeting, and then went to the craftsman's town with him. While he was carrying her, Cain came in panic and asked if he could come to their workshop. They saw a piece of paper and Monica's goggles on the door. It was written that Monica Borst was in their hand, and if they wanted to save her, Light Underwood had to go to the underground arena alone. Light was shocked at so many things. They were sure that it was the people from Blackbird Merchants, and they went too far now. That so-called underground arena was their headquarters outside the craftsman's town, and he heard that that's where their distribution warehouses and casinos were gathered. Ivar was furious and the craftsman trying to stop him. Light stated that there was no need for them to risk themselves and he would just go alone. Ivar asked if he had any solutions, and he said that there was a method they used when battling against the evil dragon. He told them to take care of Islay and left there. Meanwhile, Monica woke up and noticed that she was chained. Doug told her to be obedient and mentioned that she was just bait. He said that they wouldn't let her go no matter whether Light would come to save her or not. They were going to use her to capture Light, and they were aiming for her skill and made her make weapons for them for the rest of her life. Suddenly, someone blew up the door, and it was of course Light. When they saw him, Doug ordered his men to release the impossible Taurus. Light was face to face with a giant bull. Doug seemed pretty happy, and he said that Impossible Taurus was the wild beast that had killed numerous gladiators and 20 elite soldiers of the Blackbird merchants. Monica told Light to leave quickly. The Light couldn't care less about the giant beasts, and he used Sandman to make everyone sleep. Monica was shocked. After warning them to not do such careless things without thinking, he told Monica that everything was fine now and it was time to go back. Monica owed Light one more time. In the next scene, we see Islay sitting alone. Monica's mother Sarika called her and invited her inside because it was getting cold, but Islay refused her offer. She felt a bit sleepy, but she still wanted to wait outside for Light and Monica. Ivar asked how long Light was gone, and it was about 40 minutes. Ivar didn't want to wait any longer and decided to go and lend a hand, but the security department hadn't arrived yet. Monica's siblings were worried about Monica, however Ivar comforted them, saying that Light would definitely save her and bring her back. They heard footsteps and it was Light with Monica on his back. Everyone was thrilled to see them. Her mom asked if she was hurt somewhere, but Light explained that she wasn't hurt, she had just inhaled the dust left over from the sleep fairy. Her mom told him to go to the main room to lay her down. Ivar was feeling bad for the trouble they had caused and called for Light. He said that he was indebted to him. A few hours ago, somewhere in the holy capital, Zamd and Saintis were having a conversation. She heard that Athena's side was going to need weapons soon and asked if he could lend them urgently. Zamd said that the timing was good because he had just hired a very skillful blacksmith. Besides that, the kid that Black Swan let go had appeared in the craftsman's town. Saintis guessed that he was continuing his preparations for his current quest. Zamd had already arranged things at the Blackbird merchants, so he thought he would be able to present him to her soon. There was no other way, so she arranged some spies to make sure the security department wouldn't get involved. However, she had no intention of killing him, so she warned him to bring Light alive. Zamd wondered if Light was worth that, and Saintis confirmed him. Zamd did not question her any longer and stated that even if the sun no longer shone, his heart wouldn't change and he would help her. The kid next to Saintis asked if she observed Light. Saintis said that the conquest was given to test him, but what was given to Zamd seemed interesting too, so she wanted to confirm if he was a priori or not. The kid didn't seem to know that, but that was a good thing for the Saintis. On his way, Zamd was still thinking about Light. He thought about him all the way, and when he arrived to see Light and Monica being captured by his team, the only thing he saw was everyone on the floor sleeping like a kid. In the next chapter, Light and Islay were ready to go as they still needed to find a boarding house. Ivar apologized for the trouble, but Light didn't mind him because they were aiming for both Monica and him. Ivar was going to sever ties with the Blackbird merchants. Although he temporarily wouldn't be able to earn any money, it was still better than sacrificing his security. Monica asked her father if he would stop making weapons, but he refused, saying that he would rest until he could find a serious customer. Compared to other forged products, the prices of weapons stand out, so he wanted Monica to understand that. Monica already knew that because her pans were not selling even though they were only 1,000 gold. If Ivar wanted this large workshop to last for a long time, he could not stop producing weapons. Moreover, it had been 25 years since he opened this workshop and held the signboard with pride in their skillful technique. Leaving this job would be the same as leaving his pride. Monica was still trying to object her father, but she was still exhausted, so her mother told her that they would talk about that once she felt better. Ivar told Light to stay at their house because it was late now. Light was about to reject, but Sarika told him to not be shy and informed him that the bath and clothes for them to change into were already ready. Light asked Islay, but she couldn't even open her eyes and told him to stop being so polite. Light accepted their offer and they went inside. Light didn't think the house would be this big. Sarika said that their precinct was mainly divided into the shop as the front entrance, workshop, housing for the young disciples, and the main house where they were right now. When they were surprised that the disciples were also living there, she explained that they were all homeless children who came to apprentices, and it was like that at the beginning, but they started calling her husband master out of admiration, and then kept working there until now. Light asked if she also forged weapons, but she wasn't a craftsman because the house chores were already enough to get through the day. That was the position of a matron, so she thinks it would be better not to interfere in her husband and Monica's conflict. She mentioned that she was a mother without an influence, but Light didn't think like that. He said that Monica's way of speaking was similar to hers, so she was an obvious influence on her. Sarika smiled and told him that he was such a good boy. Monica was sitting on the balcony when Light came and asked if she was okay. She said that the sleepy dust had already disappeared and asked how Islay was doing. She had fallen into a deep sleep. He heard that while he was going to save Monica, she was waiting outside all the time. Monica said that it had been a while since she slept on the bed in her room. She was holding a short sword and said that even though it had been half a year, there was no dust, which meant her mother had cleaned it for her. When Light asked about it, she said that this was the first short sword she made by herself when she was young, and she kept it in the drawer in her room. She remembers that her father, who rarely gives praise, saw that and said Monica was gifted. Her father said that she could inherit the workshop, and she thought blacksmithing was the best job for her. Now looking at that, she felt a bit clumsy. Light stated that she was admiring Ivar just like that, and she agreed. She said that her father taught her many techniques, brought up more disciples, gathered everyone together, and helped the workshop grow bigger and bigger. Light asked if she could repair her relationship with him, and she said that for her, blacksmithing was a job that could receive praise and also earn money. She was happy seriously doing things she loved. However, because of her grandmother's incident, she realized that it was not all that mattered. Before that time, she produced countless swords when thinking that not all of those swords were used properly. She became scared of forging swords, so she couldn't work with her father anymore. She asked him if he had ever killed someone. Light had killed someone. He said that they were people who turned to undead. At first he thought he couldn't do it, but then he decided that he wouldn't hesitate if he wanted to protect Islay. Monica didn't know if a sword was a good or bad thing anymore, but for Light, weapons were neither good nor bad. Like scissors and hoes, if the bad guys hold them, they would use them for bad purposes. Monica asked if he used his sword for good purposes, and he confirmed her. He said that the good in his opinion and Monica's might be different. For him, slashing magic monsters and enemies to create a name for himself as an adventurer was a good thing. Monica also loved trying hard for her dream. Meanwhile, in the Blackbird Merchant, Doug woke up and was trying to figure out what happened. Zam said that when he came back he was already chained. He asked Doug if he would be tricked again, and Doug said of course. Zam adjusted the plan. Next time he was going to crush Light by himself. He told everyone to get moving once the sun rises. He was planning to make Light pay back 100 times the damage he caused. The following morning, Islay woke Light up when the breakfast was ready. Ilse seemed to have a good sleep. When they went to the kitchen, they only saw Monica's mother, and asked where were the master and disciples. She said that they had gone to the workshop. When Light was about to sit next to Monica's sibling, she said that he couldn't sit there because it was Monica's seat. It was because letting her know she could come back anytime. He asked where she was, and her mother guessed that she was probably still in her room. She asked if Light would mind bringing her breakfast later because she must be embarrassed to eat there. They found her working in the yard and gave her the breakfast her mother prepared. Light thought she would go back, but she said that everyone was worried about her, so she decided to help and go back later, but she was afraid to go to the workshop, so she was there working in the garden. Light was impressed that she was making concessions. He asked if she was growing something, and she said that she wanted to prepare to make the polishing powder. It was the powder used to absorb the oil applied to maintain a blade. The fruit of this tree was going to be dried and then ground into powder, but it seemed that the Ewild have a bad harvest this year. Light wanted her to give him some time, and he used his Nutmaster skill to grow them. Monica asked if that was a skill, and he explained that he was the Nutsmaster and he could accelerate the growth of fruiting plants. Monica was confused so much because he used a skill that made the merchants fall asleep just yesterday. Light said that thanks to the Nutmaster's ability, he could eat as many skilled fruits as he wanted. Monica was still in denial because if he ate second skill fruit, he would die in a second. Before Light could explain the situation, Zamd came and asked if Light was there. He said that the people at the workshop kept saying that he couldn't come in, so he paralyzed them. When he said that he couldn't see Light yesterday, Light said that he would put him to sleep too. However, Zamd turned his lightning into armor and neutralized the powder he sent. He said that he was going to ruin both him and this workshop. Islay used her appraisal skill and said that his skill gathers lightning around himself and then releases it. Zamd started to destroy Monica's house. He said that for her sake, he was going to take care of Light. Light told Sleep Spirit that she could rest today, and told Islay to bring Monica back for him. This made Zamd laugh because he was acting like a hero when he just defeated his skill and wondered how he was planning to protect himself. Light's attitude changed and he seemed pissed off by Zamd. He said that he wouldn't forgive him. Zamd was messing with Light, saying that the door he blew away was so expensive, so he was just getting revenge for that. When Light reminded him that they were in the wrong for kidnapping Monica first, Zamd wanted Monica to forge a weapon that was made from cheap materials but with the highest quality. With her super refining, she could make his dream come true. He looked at the trivial swords on the floor and crushed them. Monica was furious because those were the items that everyone in the workshop painstakingly made. Light told Monica to step back. He then ordered Zamd to move his leg from those swords, but Zamd didn't seem to care about what he said. He even said that he would withdraw his troops if he obediently surrendered. Light was planning to arrest him and hand him over to the security department. Since the negotiation failed, the battle started. Light made an attack and asked Monica to let him use a sword. Zamd laughed and made fun of him. Light knew this was a battle that he definitely couldn't lose. He used his sword Divine Consciousness, a rapid wave sword, but Zamd was using his lightning shield so it was hard to reach him. When Zamd attacked him with metal balls, he couldn't dodge it and eventually caught the electricity. Zamd knew he should make him unable to move due to paralysis if he just needed to defeat him. But that way, his revenge wouldn't be fun. He wanted him to experience the pain of being defeated too. Light couldn't read the trajectories of those balls. Monica seemed to have an idea and she asked Islay if she could appraise the material of those balls. She said that it was a ball made of iron. Monica quickly made something and threw it to Light. It was a frying pan, so Light was confused. She explained that he could use them to catch the balls. Surprisingly, it worked. Zamd was shocked. Monica said that he used iron attraction. It was a good idea, however. Light was still being affected by the lightning. The sword had a leather hilt, but it seemed that the frying pan conducted the lightning. He could only use this sword to defend himself. Light told the girls that he was okay, but his blade was being chipped away, and if he kept fighting like that, sooner or later that sword would break. Monica knew that he needed a more durable sword, but once she considered forging a sword, she recalled the memories. While she was in a dilemma, Light was being beaten up by Zamd. He told Monica and Isley to run away and that he would hold out until the security department arrived. Monica realized how brave and good Light was. He was doing everything to protect them, and the workshop, meanwhile, she could only run away. She hated this idea. She recalled their talk last night on the roof. Meanwhile, Light was barely keeping up with Zamd. Monica made a decision and told Isley to run away. Zamd said that he was getting annoyed by their interruptions, so it was better for them to run away. Light attacked him once again, but his shield was making it impossible to hurt Zamd. Zamd liked the pressure of his sword and complimented his swordsmanship skills even though he had none as far as he knew. Since most of the iron balls had been caught, Zamd decided to use his sword to fight. His sword was the lightning blade Lamina. Light attacked to tear that lightning sword apart, but when their swords crashed, he noticed that there was a core inside it. Even though lightning had no shape, if he compressed it to an extreme, he could give it a false sense of harness. Zamd not only could release lightning but also perform a trick, but if it was a sword battle, he was the one with the advantage. Although it had no hardness, that was not the only case. He swung the sword and went through Light's sword. Zamd explained that Lightning Blade was both a blade and lightning, so whether it would clash with his sword or not is up to him. Whichever it was, Light's plan was to attack with Sword God's maximum power. But when he did, he was the one hurting because not only his skill but also his force was so good. He was indeed stronger than anyone he had ever faced. That was the true power of Zamd, who possesses the thunder summoning skill, but he can't just give up and lose. If he didn't react in time, it would go through him, so he could only continue to strike first. Zamd said that if he swung his sword without purpose, he wouldn't be able to win, but he didn't expect him to attack from below. He figured that Light was planning to use the ETH to obstruct his view. Light attacked him over and over again until he ran out of time to defend himself. Zamd seemed like he had had enough of playing around and got pretty angry. Light didn't see why he would be angry because he was the one who decided on the rules. Zamd decided to end this and told him to come forward. He used his lightning leopard Jubatus, which was an animal form of lightning. Jubatus was so fast attacking Light that he couldn't even see how he attacked. However, he was a man of his word and he was going to fight until the sword broke. Zamd used his blade as if a leopard wasn't enough and attacked Light from behind. The workshop was now a huge mess. Zamd said that no matter how arrogant he was, he would end up like this on the floor. Meanwhile, at the workshop, Ivar and the other blacksmiths were all captured by Doug. They tried to move, but it was impossible. Merchants told them to be obedient until the master came back. Monica and Isley were watching them from the broken brick. Monica said that forging a sword required a furnace in the kitchen, and more importantly, they had to save everyone. But there were even guards at the entrance. Monica asked Isley if she had the thing she gave her yesterday. Monica went to the guards and yelled at them. She triggered them and started to run. The guardians started to chase her while Isley sneaked in. While Ivar was trying to find a way to escape from those chains, Isley told him to stay there. Ivar asked where she came from, and she said that she went inside from the little window there. She informed him that she was going to cut the chains. She used the scissors Monica gave her and cut the chains easily. However, when she was explaining this, someone appeared behind her. Meanwhile, Monica was still running away from the guardians. She had to deal with them first and used her super refining skill to make a bronze soft, and now they can't move. But the only way to get out of this was to wait until it hardens. Now she needed to return to the kitchen quickly. When she went back, she saw Doug holding Isley. He threatened her with Isley. Ivar was out of the chains but still couldn't do anything. Monica had something on her hands and she was sure Isley could be saved with that. Isley used her appraisal skill to see what it was, and it was Flash Lightning Stone. If you generate a strong impulse, it will emit a dazzling light. She threw the stone and it was so bright that they couldn't open their eyes. Ivar used this as an opportunity and defeated Doug. He told the others to tie him up. Monica was glad that Isley appraised what stone she would use. Doug was shocked that she had the appraisal skill. Isley made fun of him for underestimating her. Monica asks her father to let her borrow the kitchen because Light needs their sword to battle with Zamd. Ivar looked at Monica for a second and turned his back to her. He then stated that she didn't need his permission, and she could do whatever she wanted because she was a blacksmith of their family too. He told her to thin the materials, and his quick work skill would be faster, and Monica would finish the rest. The other blacksmiths informed Ivar that the other Blackbird Merchant commercial partnership was outside, and Ivar told them that they knew the timing, so they were going to show them their bravery. They were going to do their best to protect this kitchen and show them the determination of skilled craftsmen. While Ivar was working, Monica looked at him and felt nostalgic, but now it wasn't the time to be thoughtless. They still had to forge a sword for Light. Ivar finished his part and the rest was Monica's. It had been half a year since she forged a sword and she felt like she was chained, but now she was not hesitating. She used her skill and forged the sword. Ivar still thought of her as a little girl, but it seemed she had grown up a lot. Suddenly they heard a loud rumble in the back. Monica saw her mother and was glad that she was okay. Her mother stated that there was a huge explosion in the garden. The Light was on the floor, motionless. Monica threw the sword she made and told him to use that. But Zam said that even if he had more swords, he was already too tattered. Light managed to stand up using the sword as support, and stated that a very fine sword was enough to kick him. Zamd was even more annoyed that he was daring to boast even though he couldn't stand still. Light told Islay to throw a skill fruit, but Islay threw it so badly that it rolled towards the enemy. Zam didn't expect him to throw out this divine skill fruit. He said that his skill was the lulling type ability that just disabled. He also reminded him that the skill fruit was something that could only be eaten once in a lifetime, so if he ate it a second one he would be dead. However, Zam didn't know what he was scheming and suggested he surrender already. Light stated that he was a really strong man, but he was an adventurer who would be engraved in history, so he couldn't lose to him. Zamad got annoyed and knocked him down and tried to make him eat the skill fruit. He said that he was going to die either way, so he should surrender. Light took a bite from the skill fruit, making everyone shocked. A storm happened and Zamd felt the heat. When he asked what Light did, he explained that he was the Nutmaster, and he could eat skill fruits as many times as he wanted. Light's new skill was Lantern Fire, and now he told Zam that it was time to decide who would win as he wanted. Zamp was angry and confused because Light ate the fruit and didn't die. Light thanked him for letting him eat it while gasping. He said he thought he would do that because things like putting the skill fruit into the opponent's mouth were something that only people who like to hurt others would do. Light's skill was Lantern Fire, and it was a skill with which he could light a fire on his hand or on an item he held. Zamp was trying to process what was going on. The fire that burned his hair was a skill, but more important was that he ate the fruit without dying and even gained a new skill. Considering this situation, he stated his admiration. He also realized why the Saintess chose him. He said that he was a nasty guy, but despite being ordered to capture him alive, Zamp decided to do anything to crush him. The Light was glad he was taken seriously and promised to do his best too, while lighting a fire on his sword. Zamp sent his leopard, but with Light's new skill, he could cut thunder. Doug was about to come and help him, but Zamp told him to stay where he was and not get involved because he wouldn't be satisfied if he didn't destroy himself. They both prepared to make their final blows. Everyone was shocked at how powerful they were. They knew it was Monica's sword, but they were still in shock at how it withstands the power of thunder and the extreme heat of fire. Monica was praying that her sword that held her passion would hold on until the end. Islay held her hands and told her to believe in Light because he would make it. Light also told her to not worry and promised to win with this sword. Monica believed and counted on Light and asked him to protect the smithy with that sword. Everyone held their breath, and Light with the Flame Lion and Zamp with the Diabolos made their final attack. The explosion was so big that no one could see what happened at first. When the dust cleared, they saw Zamp and Light, and Zamp was dead. Light won, but his sword broke again. He thanked Monica for the sword and felt bad for breaking it. Monica didn't mind that at all and said that she would just forge another one. She thanked him for protecting this place. The people were happy that she would forge again. Doug came furiously and was about to attack Light to get his revenge, but couldn't even dare to touch him when he saw Light. The security department came and arrested them for suspicion of kidnapping, intimidation, and violence. Suddenly the wind blew, putting out the fire, which means the head of the security department, Torahige, was there. The Blackbirds were chained with air. Torahige explained that the spies interfered with communications, that's why they were late, and apologized. Ivar said that thanks to Light they were fine. Torahige looked at the Blackbirds and Zamp and turned to Light. He remembered him from the Evil Dragon conference. Light was so tired that he couldn't even keep his eyes open. Islay asked Monica what element she endowed that sword with, and she said that she didn't do anything much. She just made it as strong and reliable as possible, but in the end, it still broke. And also, she hoped that Light would win. Islay thought that it could be that the attribute of good luck turned into that beast. She found it amazing that skills still have so many mysteries. A postal bird came, and apparently it was for Islay. On its feet there was a letter from Lena. She informed them that she would be back later than planned. Monica asked if Lena was the famous godsword she had heard about, and Islay approved her. She mentioned that she was in the same party with Light and her, and was a very reliable member of Luxaria. One day ago in the western Yoruba plateau, Lena was coming to the terminal station Blue Deer Inn in a carriage. When they arrived, a man informed her that on the next road the carriage couldn't enter, so she could only walk, and he mentioned his surprise to see a girl walking alone like that. She said that she had some business to do and was surprised to see there were so many people. The man explained that it was because it was Ashina's Spirit Festival season, and asked if she was going too. She said that she was just looking for someone and then walked away. After walking a few minutes, she was relieved to find the west lake of Ashina City. Lena was preparing to protect her team in her way. For that, the one who was connected with the Saintess was definitely in Ashina City. She was looking for Drathena Berberly. Black Swan Drathena tried to kill them in the mansion of Count Monte. And here, where she was given the skill, there must be a way to investigate the relationship with the Saintess. Since there was a festival going on, the city was very crowded and loud. People were eating, drinking, and singing as they liked. Someone gave Lena a blessing of the spirit, which was a Corolla. It seemed that she came here at the right time when the people were at their peak, but she needed to focus on the main thing. If the Saintess's secret was there could be a possibility that her assassins would arrive first, so she should be careful and gather more information around. When she asked people about Drathena, they were flabbergasted and seemed so scared. They questioned why she would ask someone like her at a blessed festival time. Everyone she asked was giving the same reaction to her name. While she was wondering what to do now, she noticed that there was a man in a cloak looking at her. She was sure that he was the Saintess's assassin. She decided to take action before he did. She started following him until he entered a remote street, and when she entered the street, the man was gone. While she was wondering where he was, he appeared behind her. Lena was about to make a move, but the man captured her with Flora-type Liana. Lena freed herself easily, but the skill was for sure annoying. With this ability, she was sure he had to be S rank or higher. The man spoke. He complimented Lena's sword god skill. Lena asked who he was, and he said that it was hard for him to let an amateur like her wander around. Lena wasn't bothered. Someone appeared on the other side of the street, and Lena knew she was doomed. However, she didn't step back and told that person to stop or she would cut them. However, it was a woman who seemed to know Lena. When Lena looked at her face, she recognized that she was Hanabushi, the chief investigator. And the man next to her was Yuen, her subordinate. She said that since she asked questions directly, she let her scout. Lena wondered what they were doing in this city. Hanabushi explained that just like her, they were also looking for Drathena. Lena was surprised because she thought Hanabushi was on Saintess's side. Hanabushi explained that she was not on any side and she was purely an information collector. Yuen mentioned that looking for Drathena was also a countermeasure against the evil dragon. The scale she gave at the evil dragon conference was still being analyzed. According to currently available information, she was involved in the summoning. That's why the 4 great chairmen came here by themselves. Dealing with the evil dragon was an urgent mission. That destructive power suddenly appearing in the city was very dangerous. Lena agreed with them because a lot of people would be implicated. Hanabushi noticed that Lena had some kind of personal relationship with the Saintess, but in general, the current priority was still the evil dragon, so standing out by asking directly makes it difficult to work, so she shouldn't wander around like that. After that, Hanabushi greeted her and was about to go, but Lena stopped her. She didn't want to return empty-handed, so she wanted to accompany them. Hanabushi was also one of the 4 great chairmen like the Saintess. Although there were many risks, these people were experts in the investigation. No matter what, she wanted to get Drathena's information. Hanabushi seemed to like her and accepted her offer. However, she set one condition. She must not have any opinion on the investigation department's way. Yuen was worried if that was a good idea because they had no benefit. She said that Lena knew Drathena's face, which was also information that the investigation department didn't have. But for now, they were going to eat. They went into a restaurant and Hanabushi asked an old lady to give them 3 servings of afternoon fresh fish meuniere. Lena wasn't sure about eating but didn't say anything. The old lady instructed them and they went to the basement. Hanabushi apologized to the informant sitting there. He said that they can't talk if they don't show the goods first. Yuen gave him 20,000 gold and stated that they wanted to know the specifics of Drathena Berberi and her current address. He didn't expect someone to ask about her and said that Lady Drathena of the Berberi family used to be the famous name of the city, but because of her, everything fell apart. She was once a lovely, innocent girl who enjoyed dancing and singing. At the age of 6, she learned how to manage death spirits. Strangely, at the same time, the family business was in turmoil. Drathena's mother died unexpectedly, and misfortune struck repeatedly. Rumors circulated across the city that it was a cursed family. Her father attributed all of his daughter's unhappiness to her unwelcome skill, so he rejected her and sent her away to live in a separate home, replacing her with another child adopted into the main estate. Since then, residents in the city have informed each other that she was a bad luck charm. Hanabushi commented that the attitudes of the city's people were for that reason. The informant continued, saying that among them, only one person was standing behind to protect Drathena, and that person was the Saintess. It was a wonder if it was because of pity to see that girl with the curse skill, but the Saintess often contacted Drathena by letter, apparently even inviting her to the holy capital. To the Saintess, she must be just one of the unlucky children among the many people she brought up. Hanabushi asked where she was now, and he said that she was in the city. Lena was shocked that she was still alive because it would be hard to escape from that ruin. The man asked for more money for accommodation, but Yuen said that this money was in exchange for information and the whereabouts of Drathena. They were sure the matter was decided in their negotiations with the broker. The man said that it was though because there were many things he wanted to share, but she was a businessman. Hanabushi gave the signal to Yuen and he caught him and put a knife in his throat. Lena thought that was a bit too much, but Hanabushi reminded her that she cannot get involved. She said that the one who broke the contract first was him. Yuen said that Lena was too young and inexperienced to toy with them. As he was in pain, The man revealed that she was at the theater preparing for the spirits dance. When Lina said that this was just like interrogation, Hanabushi responded by saying that she was so gentle. She mentioned that valuable information was not always obtained directly. No matter what method, they have to get it, and that is how they do things. In the next scene, Drathena is warned by her servant that she will rest because of her wound. Given the Saintess had recommended her to be a dancer on such a stage, she wanted to prepare everything perfectly. Spirits Dance was a divine event taking place on the last day of the Spirit Festival, and a selected dancer would be the one who dances to close the festival. Thousands of years ago, the Spirit King protected this lake from the army of the magic beasts, and the dance recreates the lineage and prays for happiness. The dancer was selected from the daughter of good families. If she could perform successfully, it seemed that the ranking of that family would increase. This year, Drathena was chosen as a dancer. Lina realized that there was nothing good in this city and wondered why she was still lingering at this place. To find out, Hanabushi said that they were going to break in. According to the informant earlier, the dancers and orchestra were preparing for the performance at the Ashina Theater on the water, and Drathena was one of them. They tried to enter it, but the guardians said that only those who were allowed could enter, so they asked them to leave. Hanabushi and Lina took off their robe and stated that they were the Dance to Flute sisters, so they were allowed. The guardians were confused because they didn't know if there were any dancers like that. Hanabushi said that there weren't enough dancers with good fashion sense. Lina added, saying that they must have been selected. Since they were so beautiful, the guardians were chased by them. One of them asked what was the sword on Hanabushi's hip, and she said that it was a decoration they used for the stage. They were playing the role of spirit knights, and Lina's was a real sword. They eventually let them in, but Lina was concerned because she didn't know how to dance. Hanabushi said that there would be a way, and even Yuen didn't know how to play flute. The other dancers were talking about Drathena. They didn't want to get closer because they didn't want to be cursed. One of them said that her father said she must be associated with the Beriberi family. Lina started to feel bad for Drathena. Hanabushi asked if Lina had seen anyone familiar, and Lina noticed that Drathena was there, practicing her dancing. Lina couldn't believe she was alive. Drathena noticed her too and asked why she was there. Hanabushi once again called Yuen, and he immediately captured Drathena. Drathena was shocked and asked why the sword god and the four great chairmen were together. Hanabushi wanted to get straight to the point and asked if she knew the location of the evil dragon. Drathena didn't know about that because since it was summoned, it hadn't been within her control. In that case, Hanabushi decided to take her back to the holy capital and use the skill of mana tracing. Drathena tried to negotiate to leave after 2 days because she wanted to stay here until the day of the spirits dance, but Hanabushi refused, saying that she couldn't make concessions. Drathena was frustrated because that was the stage she had dreamed of since she was a kid and begged her. Lina felt bad and said that it was just 2 days, but Hanabushi reminded her that she couldn't interfere. She called Drathena selfish for asking to be a dancer when she let a dangerous thing out and insisted on taking her back to the holy capital. No matter what method, I need to catch her. That was the justice of Hanabushi. Lina thought about everything for a moment and she couldn't let her take Drathena. She untied her and grabbed her arm. She told her to follow her and they started running. Yuen warned Lina to not do stupid things and they started following them. Whenever Yuen used his skill, Lina cut the strings and continued running. They started to fly and get through the roof. Yuen followed them, but he lost them as they pretended to go up and then jump down. He apologized for losing them, but Hanabushi didn't seem to care. She said that vines were disadvantageous to sword gods. It was okay for her because Drathena was still attached to that dance, so during the Spirit Festival, they were sure that she wouldn't leave the city. Hanabushi's surprise was Lina. She thought Lina was a good and obedient student, but it seemed like her courage was a handful. But she was still young and green to her. When they make sure that they aren't being followed anymore, they let themselves on the floor to catch their breath. Drathena asked what Lina was aiming for with that, but Lina didn't even have an answer herself. The next chapter starts with the boatman telling a story to a couple on the boat. He asked if they knew the handed-down story and then started to tell them the story. He told them under the feet of that giant spirit stone was where there was a sealed man, who was loyal to the Spirit King, and he was the one who had maintained the peace of Ashina Lake for thousands of years. At that moment, a bright and fascinating unicorn appeared. The lady found it so sparkling, and the gentleman said the night enhanced its beauty even more. The boatman said it was called Spirit's Dance, which was a ritual to express gratitude and bring peace for him, who left the spirit world alone to become the protector of this world. The lady said it was such a wonderful story. However, the boatman said if there was a crack there, he didn't know what would happen to that village. The lady asked the boatman if they could ask him to sing a song, and he said of course. Then he sang a song called Song of Praise to the Sea. Meanwhile, Hanabushi threw her birds into the air and called out, "Now fly off!" And she told them to use all the training birds for the general search. She told Yuen that their eyes were more useful at night. He looked at the sky and they were already back. All the birds were perched on Hanabushi's arm and were flapping their wings in a very panicky state. Hanabushi said they seemed scared and it wasn't something usual at all. Then Hanabushi picked up a flower and Yuen noticed that the flower was withered. She thought it wasn't good at all. Hanabushi used her books displaying skill to get some information about the withered flowers. It was written that the Usugirisu petals reacted to the atmosphere with malice, definitely covered or expressed warning precedent in the historical year disaster. It was written that the situation could be seen as vague, but in the kinds from ancient times, life quickly sank. Yuen asked her what she was looking for and she said the origin they were looking for. She said maybe they came from there, and if that was the case, then there was only one way, to bet on those two while looking at the thing shining in the middle of the big lake in front of her. Meanwhile, Lena asked Drathena where she was going and asked if it was possible to enter the abandoned house outside the city on their own. Drathena said it was a rented house owned by the Berberi, so it was not a problem. Although it was a bit old, they could hide until 2 days later. Lena asked if it was simple for Hanabushi to find out where they were in no time. Drathena said she would ask the Saintess for help, and if it was also a person with an important role to talk to, it would be different. Lena told Drathena to tell her about the relationship between her and the Saintess. Also, she said she wanted to know the reason they were aimed at the Count's mansion, so she came all the way there. Drathena asked her if that was the reason that she did it just to make Drathena owe her and listen to her. Lena said the reason she helped her was not because of that. She said it was when she saw her dance. She thought she was not a bad person. Drathena suddenly turned to Lena and asked her what she knew about her to talk like that. Lena said she heard her story in the city. Drathena said as expected from the sword god, that was why she felt pity for a pitiful person like her. Lena thought honestly that was the case and Drathena's life was at risk, and she took advantage of both Shera and Boruku's bodies. Several children surrounded Lena and Drathena and looked with admiration, knowing that Drathena was the dancer. Drathena said it was night and the kids had to go home. One of the boys said it was festival time today, so it was okay to stay up late. The other girl in the crowd asked Lena if that meant she would perform the spirits dance. Lena said she was just trying it on. Drathena told the kids that they had to go now and told them not to come there again. The girls said to each other that when they grew up, they wanted to try on their outfits too. Lena found it amazing and didn't expect the dancer to be so popular. One of the boys said he would wait to see her dance. Suddenly, a voice raised saying, "Don't get close to our children." The parents called their children and told them to stay away from them because they would be haunted by that curse skill. Lena said, but the kids were so eager to have fun. Drathena told her to just ignore it. It was always like that. She told Lena that someone, who only had good memories of the sword god skill, would never know. All of a sudden chaos occurred, and everyone was running around trying to understand what was going on and what was wrong. Magic beasts were there and they were trying to understand why they were in the city. A girl was yelling and wanted help to find her brother because she was thinking her brother was still in the area of the magic beast. One of the magical monsters came so close to killing the girl's little brother that Lena caught up and slit its throat without even blinking. Lena told the kid to take that chance and run away as fast as he could. Drathena asked Lena why the magic beasts appeared in the city with the purifying power of spirit stones and said they shouldn't have been able to get close to the city. Lena told her to make sure that place was safe first. They started to fight with the magical beasts and she was killing them one by one. Lena and Drathena noticed that a monster was about to attack a mother and her child. Drathena ran up to them as fast as she could and defeated the monster. She told the mother to run quickly, and the woman thanked Drathena and started running as fast as she could. Lena realized that she used death spirit control magic on the magic beast that she defeated. People looked at Drathena and said she was the cursed daughter of the Berberi family, but she seemed to be fighting for them. "Help!" a voice shouted. And when Lena turned, she saw that a dragon, one of the magical beasts, was about to breathe fire on a couple. Strangely, there was also a magic beast next to the couple, however it didn't live long. Lena used his lens turbo skill and saved their life, then told them to run quickly. Drathena realized the dragon was coming for Lena and yelled at her saying she was an idiot and she should have just ignored it. Lena used her Azista trap skill immediately, and then checked the little magic beast near the couple that she saved and said it was fine now. Later on, Lena, Drathena, Hanabushi, and Yuen are on a boat and Drathena asks Hanabushi what exactly is going on. She said the magic beasts were constantly being called out from the miasma-filled entrance. Drathena found it ridiculous and said Ashina had a spirit stone with purifying power that covered the whole city, so it should have been a place where the miasma couldn't appear. And yet now the spirit stone was absorbing miasma. Hanabushi said the ability to repel turned into a power of attraction. It was likely that someone interfered. Drathena asked her what she was going to do. She said she was planning to destroy the spirit stone. Yuen thought she should have been tenser. Drathena couldn't believe she was planning to do that, and said it was something from the past that was worshipped as the guardian god of the land. Hanabushi said she knew that, but if she didn't do that, they couldn't stop that miasma-filled situation. She asked Drathena if she was so devoted to Ashina and said she thought Drathena didn't care what happened to the city. Drathena said she was not devoted or anything, it was just if the spirit stone was gone, then the meaning of the dancers would disappear. Lena thought she was right, and the spirit dance that Drathena was so dedicated to was because there was the spirit stone. Hanabushi told Drathena that she could not think of any other way to protect the city, and if they didn't remove the miasma gathering place, the magic beasts would continue to gather there. She asked Drathena if she had any other plans. As they continued their journey, they met the man singing on the boat. The boatman told them they finally had come just like the saintess said. Hanabushi asked if he was the one behind that chaos, and he said she should have used the word excitement instead of chaos. Then one of the magical beasts appeared and attacked them. Lena swung her sword at the man but was able to tear the man's costume. It turned out the man was disguised and started introducing himself to them. He said his name was Argos, and he was an apostle who was given the mission of revenge. Then he ordered all of the magic beasts to wipe out the evil lower race and take back the land. He said he summoned a lot of magic beasts to do that. Hanabushi told him that she wasn't going to leave him satisfied. They thought they must have destroyed the spirit stone as fast as possible, which would block the entrance of magic beasts and not let them multiply. Yuen said on water like that, they were at a disadvantage in terms of mobility. Drathena asked if she was the only one who could fly. Then the magic beast that Lena saved created some crystallized ladder for her. Lena wondered who exactly it was. Their boat was destroyed and Lena was worried about Hanabushi. Yuen told her not to worry because she looked like that, but she was one of the 4 great presidents. Argos said he got it all and said her skill was reading. However, he said just looking could bring about secret magic. Hanabushi asked if he knew the secret magic of the Forbidden Book. She said because it was too dangerous, it was sealed in the underground Forbidden Library of the Holy Capital. There were a total of 48 grimoire books and she said she read them all. Hanabushi said the first chapter of the book was about the ice flower, and the second chapter was about the destruction of playing with rocks. Argos said if it was so, he would call out more until it hit them. Hanabushi used the 5th chapter of the Book of the World, which was Birdcage, and then told Drathena and Lena to go to the Spirit Stone. Drathena said if they destroyed it, there would be nothing left to protect the city in the future. Lena was trying to think of another way to save the city, however. Hanabushi told her it wasn't in order and told her to choose it herself. Lena thought if it was light, then at times like that he wouldn't destroy it, but find a way to save everyone. But she couldn't do that right now. She was also thinking that she wasn't as knowledgeable as Hanabushi, and still not strong enough to save everyone. Lena said she would bear that sin, then she destroyed the Spirit Stone and the miasma was dissipating. Argos told them destroying the Spirit Stone was a bad choice and the time had come. The last magical beast called the Primitive Water God was coming. He said now he would release it from that long sleep, then a giant portal appeared. Lena looked at the portal with a frightened face, and when she saw the gigantic monster, she wondered if it was the evil dragon. She said its appearance was different from before. The gigantic dragon didn't attack them, but attacked the city. Fortunately, the city had already taken refuge. Argos told them there was nothing they could do against that overwhelming power. Drathena looked at it and wondered how they would defeat it. Lena thought she didn't even know how useful her sword could be. She was thinking that she could not waver Drathena. Lena asked Drathena to lend her power to her to protect the city together. Drathena said it was easier said than done. She held Lena's hand and said her hands were still shaking. Lena said as long as they could move, they could handle that. The people inside the cathedral were trying to calm each other and assure each other that they were safe. When an old man said the fairy stone should be a charm, a kid brought a picture book called Fairy King. A long time ago, fairies and their kin fought and defeated many bad monsters. The kid's mother told him that this was just a fairy tale and that he should go inside. But the kid was still believing that a hero was coming to save everyone. Meanwhile, the fierce battle between Argos and the others continued. Hanabushi had to use her forbidden secret technique 3 times in a row, so Yuen had to tell her that she was going too far. Even though she looked tired, she laughed and said this was the fun way of the battle. Argos didn't seem to be tired though. They noticed that if they didn't stop the attack somehow, it wouldn't be good for any of them. To protect the town, they had no choice but to defeat the evil dragon. Lena asked Doratena if she could stop the evil dragon's movements just for 5 seconds. Doratena asked if she was planning to charge in. She said if she could get close enough, she should be able to do something with a sword. Doratena was surprised, but foolishness and bravery were just a paper's width apart. Doratena used Cranon to block the dragon from moving. She warned Lena that this could only last for a few seconds. Argos was shocked. Lena approached the dragon and aimed at its neck to use her Sword of the Void technique. She managed to slash the neck of the dragon but couldn't be relieved because Argos started giggling. The tentacles that held the dragon started rotting away. Hanabushi told them to be careful because this corrosion effect might affect them too if they come into contact. Argos stated that this dragon wouldn't fall with such a fragile sword. The dragon's appearance changed and it regenerated itself even though Lena gave it a fatal injury to its neck. Argos was a lot stronger now, and he wanted to end this performance with the destruction of the town of Athena. Doratena was still confused as to how that dragon didn't die. Hanabushi looked thoroughly and figured that the white light coming from Argos's chest was his skill. According to the display book, the skill that matched this situation was the skill called body possession. She told Lena and Dorothea that the evil dragon had fused with Argos. They had to beat him first if they wanted to defeat the evil dragon. But it was a lot harder than it sounded because none of their previous methods worked on him. Lena decided to try to get his attention and told her to find a chance to attack him. Hanabushi was still having doubts because he shouldn't be able to manipulate the Spirit Stone, summon beasts and the evil dragon with a single skill. Argos decided to target Hanabushi since she was the smart one. He used the Breath of the Storm, Mist Breath, to erase her. But Hanabushi didn't stop there and waited to get attacked. She used Demon Fire to even their power. She was still amazed by the dragon because anyone but her would have already been blown to pieces after this attack. The dragon's power lasted so long that Lena was shocked that Hanabushi could hold back the evil dragon like that. She had somehow deflected its attack, but to lure it away from the town center she must rely on Lena and Dorothea. As the girls tried to get close to him, Argos continued using the dragon breaths, and every breath was a lot stronger than the last. Lena was trying to deflect its breaths with a light sword, and it looked like the Sword Saint's ability could hold it back too. Fortunately, it didn't get the town. Argos was still enjoying being the stronger one. Back then, Lena's sword couldn't even land a hit on him, but now it was different. Her sword could reach him, so she had the chance to try it again. Lena told Argos not to underestimate the Sword Saint, but Argos still found her pathetic. He used the Breath of Disaster on her, but before it could reach her, a light appeared and protected her. Confused, she looked at the light and felt like something was coming. She realized that those were the memories of the previous Sword Saints who had sworn to protect this place. Everyone else was confused as well. The dragon's leg was cut off. Hanabushi thought it was the Sword Saint's ability, but it was Lena's fairy blessing. Once disaster falls upon the kingdom, the king will grant the valiant hero the emerald wings and the sword of purity. It was just like the legend of the fairy king passed down in Athena. Lena's appearance changed. She had wings just like how it was said in the fairy tale. She felt the presence and the power of the previous Sword Saints. Argos was trying to act like this was nothing. He relied on the evil dragon being the strongest of the demon race and didn't think peasants like them could defeat it. Oh, calmly and elegantly, Lena approached the dragon and used Exterminating Light Eclair on it. She was dominating the evil dragon. Hanabushi couldn't take her eyes off of her because she could even surpass the limits of the Sword Saint's ability. She was dying to learn where that power came from. She was so excited to watch them now. Yuen was shocked that she was so excited even in a situation like this. Lena felt strange while flying, but this power she was acquiring, she didn't know why she knew how to use it, and it was like someone was teaching her from within her mind. Argos seemed serious now and was annoyed that she kept getting in his way. Lena appeared right in front of him within seconds with a huge sword, and hit him with the sword. Hanabushi told Yuen to watch carefully, but he was busy trying to stand straight. Dorothea was amazed that she was dominating the evil dragon. Hanabushi noticed that the white creature next to Lena disappeared. Injured, Argos said that if the evil dragon and he could merge as one, his land would be complete. Beating the saint's sword was pointless because his mission was to destroy all of those lowly peasants. He ignored Lena and attacked the grand church where people were inside. But Lena didn't seem like she was going to let him do that. She slashed through the dragon's breath and stopped the church from being demolished. Argos wasn't giving up on this mission, but Lena told him that she would never allow him and decided to end it here. As she landed on the dragon's head and stabbed it with her sword, Argos realized that he was going to be defeated by her. With the Sword of Purity La Purete, Lena killed the dragon. First, the miasma covering the evil dragon disappeared, then the dragon itself. Dorothea couldn't believe the power of the Sword Saint and how she was able to defeat a dragon. Although the Spirit Stone had broken, at least he was protected. Argos was the only thing left from the dragon. He was still in denial that the dragon he relied on so much was defeated. Lena told him that everything she knew was actually learned from Argos. Lena was once a member of Sacred and she followed a woman's order. That woman could foresee the Sword Saint's awakening, and he couldn't believe she had been using him all this time. In that case, it was futile to stay here, so he told Lena that the grudge of their ancestors was eternal and would not disappear. When he escaped, Lena's knees couldn't stand anymore and she fell on them. All of the pain and fatigue were coming back now that the danger was over. But they still won. Her wings and the sword have returned to their original forms, and her little white animal returned. She figured that it was this animal who fought alongside her. Doratena came and asked if she was okay. She said she was fine. Suddenly, bubbles started appearing out of nowhere and they healed their wounds. Hanabushi said she can't let a young girl suffer that many wounds. Doratena figured out why she was the guildmaster, as she knew healing magic. Hanabushi started telling her how spectacular the scene was. She told the girls that they both did well and she had placed her bet on the two of them, and she wasn't wrong. Lena asked who she bet against and she said Yuen didn't support them. Yuen obviously denied her claims. Doratena admitted that her power wasn't of much help, and it was all thanks to Lena. Lena told her that she couldn't have won this fight alone. She held Dorathena's hand and thanked her for coming and fighting with them. Lena apologized to Hanabushi for letting him escape because she thought everything they did was in vain. Hanabushi said it would be best if they could capture him, but she had already used everything she had to protect the town. Besides, she grabbed the thing that Argos left and said this wasn't wasted at all. She saw him drop that charm while escaping. It was a tool created by the ancient civilization Zelum. Each pattern on this thing had the effect of a skill. These were extremely valuable artifacts for various purposes, such as rituals, devil repel. But how they were created remains a mystery. There were only a handful of them that had been found in the world, and the effect of the upside-down bat pattern was inversion. Everything that happened to the spirit gem was caused by this charm. Argos used the charm's power to reverse the purifying power of the spirit gem, and by using the miasma to summon monsters and the evil dragon. So when he fused himself with the evil dragon, Yuen wondered if that was also because of this charm. Hanabushi didn't think so. She thought it was his own skill. She hasn't fully analyzed it, so she can't say for sure, but it resembles the body possession skill. Dorathena was sure he said something similar at the end. Lena was impressed that Hanabushi knew that much without even needing to check a single book. Tuan said ancient civilization was her specialty, and he didn't know anything about them. Because of that, Hanabushi excitedly told them to leave the charm to her as the expert. This was her first time seeing one of those, so she couldn't hide her enthusiasm. Dorathena worried if it would be alright to touch it like that because it might create miasma again. Hanabushi explained to her that to activate the spell, they need the chant which suits the pattern. That's why it wasn't dangerous to just hold it. The problem was how Argos acquired this charm. She wondered if he had luckily dug it up in some ruins or somehow connected to ancient Zalem. Lena suggested leaving this for later because, for now, the disaster had been dealt with. Hanabushi agreed and said the only problem left was the power which helped her fly. She thought the little thing had fallen into the lake, but it was actually unharmed. Lena confirmed this and said it might transform into those wings and swords. That sounded impossible to Dorathena. Suddenly, the man Lena saw in her memory appeared. It was the Spirit King, Ober. Hanabushi knew him, so she couldn't help but ran towards him, but she had no physical form, so she went through him. Dorathena couldn't use her skill on Ober, so she said it might not be a spirit. Ober explained that this was an image formed from what remains of his consciousness. It was like an illusion. Hanabushi couldn't hide her excitement once again and started freaking out about the fact that she could have a talk with the Spirit King even after thousands of years. She started acting like a fan and asked him questions like what his hobbies were, his special skills, and what his favorite food was. The ironic thing was that Ober answered all of her questions. Dorathena decided to ask related questions and asked if the Emerald Wing and the Sword of Purity were created from the power that he blessed on Lena. He corrected her that it wasn't his power, it was Salandros who gave her that power, like he once blessed his race. Hanabushi, for the first time ever, I haven't heard about that name. Ober pointed at the unicorn sealed inside the spirit gem. When Lena received power, she had a vision. The scene of Ober fighting alongside Salandros against a monster. He confirmed her, saying their spirit race finally won against the monsters after many tough fights and many sacrifices. However, for that victory, the whole region had been burnt to ashes, and no living creature could survive there. It took so many years for this land to revive and to sustain the revival power for it. They must pour their life into the gem, and Salandros had taken that responsibility. That was the reason for the unicorn sealed inside the spirit gem. He had been alone for thousands of years inside the gem. That's why he had sent a part of him outside the stone, and it was the little one that stayed by Lena's side. Lena was shocked. Ober said she might want to answer her will to protect this land. Hanabushi confirmed him, saying that it was a completely different power than the Sword Saint power. Yuen was confused and asked if there was a resonance between Lena and that little one. Ober confirmed his doubts. He thanked all of them for defeating the monster and protecting everyone in there. Seeing such a scene at the very last moment for him, Salandros must feel quite happy, as he said. Puzzled, Dorathena asked what he meant by the last moment. Right now the spirit gem had finished its purpose, and Salandros's body would return to the wind. This would also mean he was going to disappear. Ober had watched over that lake for thousands of years. The water had become clear, and the land was once again covered in green. He could say that they had fulfilled their task of reviving the land. He thanked Salandros and wanted to reward him for his sacrifice. After many generations, this land had been rebuilt and was even prettier than before. The true meaning of their fight was for the citizens of Athena. He said he would count on them from now on, and the ancient protectors of the city were disappearing now. Lastly, he had a favor to ask Dorothea. He said this was a wish from an illusion with no power left. He asked Dorothea to help Salandros watch the spirit dance one last time. With this, he could fly away with the best memories of their past. Dorothea agreed to do what he asked. They were still in ritual days even though the stage on the lake had been destroyed. Knowing that her dance could still give him its true meaning, that was priceless to Dorothea. Lena encouraged Dorothea and told her to do her best, but she told her that this concerned her too. She must dance too because she already wears the dance costume anyway. The city people started coming out of the church after hearing no sound of fighting from outside. The kids noticed something, and they all started looking in the direction where the girls started dancing. Lena was trying to convince Dorothea because she thought she wasn't as good as her. She said she could just copy the movement from her and repeat those over and over. As they started dancing, Lena did exactly what she said and copied her movements. The townspeople got closer to watching comfortably. They couldn't believe they still were in the mood for dancing when the town was in such a state, but that was the reason why they perform a dance now. The musicians of the town joined them. Some of them knew Dorothea, so they weren't really pleased, but most of them were amazed by her stunning dance. Hanabushi found her stunning, so she blew some flowers to increase the ambiance. One of the kids seemed stuck, so Yuen saved her. While holding her, she said she wanted to go to the stage, so he took her there. She was amazed by Lena and Dorothea's dance. Lena suddenly stopped and said she wanted to take a look. When she left, Dorothea continued the dance solo. While dancing, Dorothea's past memories and how she suffered through this dancing journey appeared in front of her eyes, and the dance started to become more sentimental. When she finished, her eyes were teary, and she felt proud that Silandor's wish had come true. Everyone applauded for Dorothea, and Ober thanked her. She told Lena that she had done better than she expected. As they were talking, Lena noticed that Silandor had disappeared, but the memory and the spirit of him would be inherited by that little thing, bringing a new life into this world. Hanabushi figured that this meant that little thing in the reincarnation of Salandros. Ober told Lena to take that new Salandros with her and allow it to see the world. Salandros had watched over this land for thousands of years, and he wanted this new life to roam freely, feeling the wind. The spirit wings and sword would become her own power. Lena was happy to do that. Its previous name was Salandros, so Lena named it Silon. After that, Ober's illusion started disappearing. Hanabushi still had some questions to ask him about the ancient beast and the spell, but she wasted her time wondering what his favorite food was. When Ober disappeared, Lena's body started feeling heavy and she collapsed. When Lena opened her eyes, the first thing she saw was Silon. She looked outside, and the dawn looked so beautiful. She then remembered that she had fainted. She thanked Cylon for staying by her side. Cylon was next to her, so she confirmed that the battle with the evil dragon wasn't a dream. This kid protected Athena with her and the spirit gem shattered. She heard people talking, so she went outside and saw Hanaboshi, Dorothea, and Yuen talking. She asked where they were, and Hanaboshi explained that this was the VIP room at the Athena guest house. She said that last night she fought against the evil dragon, and now it was the evening of the next day already. Lena didn't realize that she slept that much. Hanaboshi said she had used a huge amount of power, so the drawback would be big. They informed her that from today, everyone in the town was starting to rebuild the buildings and stock supplies. Bit by bit, they hoped everything would go back to normal. Hanaboshi told the captain of the night guard that this was the girl who beat the evil dragon. He was so happy, and while shaking Lena's hand, he said she was Athena's savior. The night guard usually received supplies from the Saintess, so their members were deeply grateful for that. Hanaboshi didn't know the Saintess of the security department provided such support. The captain said the weapons in today's supplies were provided by the Black Swan Commercial Guild, and since the spirit gem was gone, they needed any means possible to prepare for upcoming dangers from nearby monsters, so they were really grateful. After thanking them for their contributions, the captain excused himself. Hanaboshi found it strange that the Saintess got the news so quickly and delivered the weapons in such a short time. To deliver them from the holy capital to Athena in a day would be impossible unless it had been done earlier. The tension in the room increased as they knew exactly what she meant. This matter might be much more important than they thought. She asked if they knew what the Saintess's skill was. Lena thought it was an appraisal, but Hanaboshi revealed that it was just a cover-up. There was a rumor secretly spreading among the guild's top officers. The real skill of the Saintess was related to divination, the ability to predict the future, the one with heavenly enlightenment. This was the origin of the name Saintess. But when Lena ate the skill fruit, the Saintess had appraised her skill as sword skill. Hanaboshi explained that this wasn't an appraisal. She could predict her skill with her divination skill. This was top secret information, but she still wanted to share it with them. The evil dragon incident at the nearby Count Montez's mansion, and even the evil dragon attack at Athena Town, both accidentally shared one thing in common. It was Lena and Dorothea. She was saying that the Saintess had used divination and guided everything into this. Fighting with the evil dragon twice was just part of some disgusting plan. Dorothea was uncomfortable about Hanaboshi saying things like that about the Saintess without proof. Hanaboshi asked her how long she wanted to be used as a pawn by the Saintess. She said she shouldn't decide anything now, but no matter what, Hanaboshi hoped that she would stay with her. She still had a plan for the participants of the evil dragon incident. Dorothea asked if she wanted to apprehend her. Hanaboshi responded that instead of bringing her to the capital, she was going to investigate somewhere else, with Lena. Hanaboshi stated that to exchange for the crime to allow Dorothea to escape, Lena must stay under her supervision. Yuen figured that she wanted to show her support for this case and put them under the protection of the department chief. Lena asked where she meant by somewhere else. The place she was talking about was her master's place. That person must know more than her about the evil dragon and divination. She wanted to avoid asking that, possibly because even Yuen was getting nervous just by hearing about her master. Lena was still trying to figure out if she was part of the Saintess plan. Back when she got the Sword Saint skill, she was forced to move to the Holy Capital. From that moment, she was always a part of the prophecy, so this also meant that Saintess trying to kill Light was also part of that. In that case, Lena decided to do anything to stop her plan. Lena said she would go with Hanaboshi. Originally, she intended to go back to the Holy Capital after the subjugation of Jabberwock with Light and Islay, but she didn't want the Saintess to use her teammates and her. Hanaboshi agreed with her. Dorothea didn't feel comfortable about betraying the Saintess, but she knew nothing about divination and the evil dragon. She also didn't know what Saintess was thinking right now, so she decided to go with Hanaboshi too. She also thanked them for letting her finish her dance even though it didn't go as expected. But she reminded them that they weren't teammates now and she was using them to learn more. Hanaboshi stated that depending on the situation, the Saintess and she might become enemies. Until then, who Dorothea would follow was up to her. Before departing, Lena wanted to help rebuild Athena for a few days. When the Spirit Stone was destroyed, she was prepared to take that burden. Hanaboshi was totally cool with that because she wanted to rest for a few days too, since she had used so much magic. Lena also wanted to contact her teammates Luxaria too, so she wanted to borrow her bird. But instead of bird, Hanaboshi said she had gotten something better. At Holy Capital Lanodino, Islay was making pizza dough in Borst's workshop. Everyone eats a lot, so her help was very much needed. She said she wanted pizza for dinner today. She then went to Light's room, but he wasn't there. Wondering where he was, she looked from his window. Light called her name, and when she looked, she saw him on the roof, practicing his sword skills. He said he was stronger now, so he must master the flame ascension. Suddenly, a light ball appeared in front of them, and they heard Lena's voice asking if they could hear her. Panicked, Light started looking around to see where she was. Islay told him that Lena's voice was coming from this light ball. A few minutes ago at the Athena Inn, Hanaboshi took out a firefly crab. This was a rare creature that could relay the user's voice to their teammates from afar. The crab from the Holy Capital reached Light, and Hanaboshi told Lena to try to say something. Islay figured that the crab could relay the voices of people from afar. Hanaboshi said having a girl with the appraisal skill made the conversation much smoother. Light asked how she was doing. Lena said she was fine and asked how he was doing. He said they were supposed to forge swords, but they got dragged into a fight with a guy named Zamdo, the lightning summoner. He mentioned the new skill he learned. Lena was glad that they were fine. She said she wanted to tell him that a lot had happened, so she couldn't come back for a while. But once she finishes her current goal, she promised to come back. Light believed in Lena, so he was okay with her decision. He told her that they could take care of their next task, and she shouldn't worry. Hanaboshi noticed how simple Light was, and Dorothea once again wondered how the hell she lost to such a simple person. The light started fading, so Hanaboshi said the duration was limited, and it couldn't stay on much longer. Once the light fades, the crab would fall into hibernation and wouldn't be able to do anything for 5 days, so she asked Light to take care of it for her. Lena told Light they were going to come back and wanted him to wait for her. He said he would, and he would handle the S-rank quest himself. They told each other not to overdo it right before the light faded. At the Saintess's mansion, Noah came and asked what she had seen. The Saintess said what happened at the West Lake was as she predicted. Next was the South Grand Forest, so they must eliminate the Nutmaster from the battlefield. Noah asked if his existence would interfere with the plan for heaving. The Saintess told Noah that he wasn't allowed to say them anywhere besides this room. A few days later, the departure day arrived, and Monica brought Light's new sword, Burning Flame. It was fortunate that she finished it before the two of them had to leave. Monica also sewn a new coat for him since his old one was too tattered. Light loved his new coat and thanked Monica for her efforts. Borst told him not to worry about it because without him, his workshop wouldn't even exist. As they were leaving, Light noticed that Monica was following them. She said that they should go with Light. Her father and other blacksmiths were shocked. She said she knew the risks, but she wanted to leave the holy capital for once and go adventuring. And she wanted to see Light fighting. She wanted to see how the sword fights directly. Burning Flame was just a prototype, and she could forge a stronger sword that enhances Light's abilities even more. Monica asked Light if she could go with him, and he said she could. Eiley wanted her to come too because it would be so much fun with them. Since she wanted so badly, her parents didn't think they could do or say anything to stop her, so they counted on Light for her safety. And with that, the three of them left the capital. They went to the southern gate and informed them that their destination was the Grand Forest Formido. This was necessary for renting horses. Suddenly, the guild officer Hakamori came. That was the guy who found Light. Hakamori told Light that this mission would be the certification test to avoid disbanding the party, so he advised him not to get reported for cheating or forgery. And he noticed that Monica wasn't an official member. He asked for her adventurer registration number. Light explained that she was his personal blacksmith and she was his weapon expert, so she had to come with them. Monica seemed embarrassed for being called a personal blacksmith, but all Light was trying to do was to convince Hakamori. Hakamori didn't say anything, so he concluded that it would be okay. To avoid cheating, Hakamori appointed a guild supervisor to accompany their party during the mission. The supervisor was a solo S-rank adventurer from the investigation department. And before she even introduced herself, she stated that she wasn't good at cooperating with others, but she would act accordingly. Her name was Signa Jaildor. Light could sense the pressure coming from Sina and just knew that she was so strong. When they shook hands, Light couldn't help but notice that her hands were so cold. Hakamori informed Light that although she was going to assist them on their path to complete this mission, she wouldn't intervene in the Jabberwock subjugation. Monica said it would be much easier with the help of such a strong adventurer. But then there was no meaning in testing their party. He told Light to do their best, and even if they fail, Signa said she could deal with Jabberwock alone. But if she dealt with it, they would fail the test. Light noticed that she was really confident in her ability, so he said he wasn't going to lose and wanted to race to the barn. Monica told him to stop doing meaningless races. He said he was too excited about this mission. But Monica knew he was excited because he could use Ascending Flame. He said it was because he promised Lena that they would complete the S-rank quest and keep Luxaria. They rented the horses and set off on their journey. Hakamori didn't have high hopes for them because they looked like they were going on a picnic. A woman came and asked why he came there himself, if it was just to introduce Sina as their supervisor. It was obvious that he was up to something. Hakamori said he put his hope in them. He wondered if they could really become the heroes who change the world or end up like small fries who were devoured by fate. He said that seeing their free and energetic selves made him feel envious yet admiring. A few hours later, Light asked Monica if she was okay because she seemed like she was having trouble controlling the horse. Sina suggested she is focusing on her hips and keep them balanced instead of pushing her weight on her arm and leg. Sina was a great teacher and confirms why she was a guild officer. Suddenly, Monica's horse stopped, so Sina said it might smell water. As she predicted, they found the Teeterwa River. It was so big that he wondered if they could swim across it. They could see the great forest of Formido on the other side. Sina told Light that they can't swim there, so they must leave their horses here. Monica asked how they were going to cross the river. They can't use a boat because it would get stuck in the waterfall. Sina told her that she would find out once they got to the river shore. At the shore, they saw Teeterwa platypus, and it looked like those things really liked carrying people on their soft backs. Light asked for 4 tickets to the other side and was shocked when the man said it was 40,000 Gordo. The man told him that they must cross 2 waterfalls, so the price for that wouldn't be cheap. But the amount was still too much, so Light preferred swimming. Sina wanted to pay because the guild would cover every expense for the quest. The river crossing journey was going really well for the party. The man who was driving the giant duck asked if this was their first time. Light said they had a quest in the Great Forest. He told them that it was totally different from the Holy Capital. The Great Forest of Formido was praised because of the god of the land. The land was ruled by the Forest Man race. Sina asked if that was one of the 5 ancient races. Light and Islay were clueless about this topic. 5 races have existed for thousands of years. Monica had seen them in the art book, but she thought they were fairy tales. Sina corrected her that there were definitely traces of the 5 races' Great War in the ancient documents. A long time ago, on this continent, 5 gods created 5 races to coexist with humans. Those races were the Sky Race, the Spirit Race, the Forest Man race, the Merman race, and the Demon race. But thousands of years ago, a brutal war broke out between these 5 races to take control over the omnipotent power in order to rule the world. The Sky Race and the Demon race joined forces, so the Forest Man race and the Spirit race ambushed them continuously. The Merman race kept their natural stance because they couldn't move on land. In the end, the Forest Man race was the winner, transforming the omnipotent power, the source of every disaster, into countless seeds, and this was the origin of the skill fruit. Because of that, nowadays modern people who receive the blessing of skill are all descendants of the Forest Man race. Monica wondered if other races had become extinct. As records said, the spirit race was weeping for their loss and moved into the illusion realm. The merman race built a nation at the bottom of the sea, isolated from the land. The sky race flew to the heavens as guided by the god of sky, and the demons held their hatred against other races and turned into monsters, which could only kill on instinct. Light had no idea and always thought that the skill fruits and monsters were naturally born like that. Monica agreed. The man pointed to a place, saying the pure-blood descendants of the Forest Man race were living in the great forest ahead. The trouble was that there was an unwritten law of the Forest Man tribe for the outsiders. Once they break the law, they would be banned from the forest. Sina knew about this law. The outsiders were forbidden to pick fruits, hunt and eat animals, or tremble on the ruins. Panicked, Monica asked what they were going to eat. Sina responded that if they could reach the outpost town, they might get supplies there. They were allowed to buy food that locals picked, hunted, or gathered. That meant the issuer of this guest was living in the great tree town of Parkanon. Suddenly, their boat was stopped by a group of poachers. They told Light to pay the Crimson Gang some fee as a courtesy. They were surrounded by the gang, so they had no other choice but to give them money or fight. Sina explained that the Crimson Gang was active around there, and they were all wanted by the guild's security department. Islay used her appraisal skill and informed Light that their leader's skill was Aqua Arrow, which shoots a high-speed arrow made from water. The man who controls the boat was surprised because they must be further down the stream. The passenger's safety was the priority, so he was thinking about paying him. Light told him not to worry. The man seemed pretty confident, but when he realized that Light was an adventurer and used fire against water, he was shocked. Light wanted to warm up his new sword by using Flame Slash first. In the next scene, Noah was playing with leaves and hoped that it would rain tomorrow. Sina was talking with the Saintess, and she told her that the S-rank subjugation quest would be given to Luceria, and there was a chance that they couldn't finish it, because Lena, who contributes a large part of their power, wasn't participating in this mission. Sina seemed confused that she still sent them, even though they would fail. A man appeared behind Sina and said she was going to accompany them. Sina didn't see him coming and asked who he was. Saintess said she could just think of him as someone sharing their point of view. He then gave her a medal. With her feather coat skill in this, she must be able to neutralize the Jabberwock. The Saintess said that once Luxaria was beaten, she wanted her to take care of the quest in the name of the guild. Sina agreed with her plan and asked her to take care of her brother Noah while she was on a mission. Saintess told her that she didn't need to worry about him. Noah waved at him. Back to the present, the team arrived at the Great Forest Formido, and was amazed by the strange plants surrounding them. He asked Islay one of the squishy plants he saw, and she said that was a Lumina Dake, a luminescent mushroom, and it would shine when touched. Monica was terrified when they heard someone scream mushroom. Fortunately, it was a mimic beak, which was a type of bird that repeated human speech. Islay wanted to appraise that one too, but Sina reminded them of the rules. They weren't allowed to hunt the animals in this forest or pick fruits either. As they continued their way, Islay wondered where those bandits were. It seemed the huge wave had scared them away. Monica saw a huge insect, and Islay said it was an angry bee. If they angered him, he would sting them with his venomous needle, so they had to be careful not to trigger him. Surprisingly, the angry bee couldn't approach Light because he had an anti-insect skill. He obtained that one while fighting against the evil dragon. He almost forgot about it when they were in the holy capital, but it turned out to be effective in this place. Monica and Islay were so happy because they wouldn't get stung if they stayed close to Light. It was a bit hard to move, but it still worked in a small radius. Sina was paying attention to Light's unknown skills in the meantime. Islay noticed that Monica had a bruise on her elbow. She thought she might got it when the bee scared her back then. Sina suggested her washing it. There was a small river near, and they decided to take a break and have lunch. While soaking their feet in the river, Light was teasing them with the water. They asked Sina to join them, but she refused, saying it would be dangerous if everyone lets their guard down. Light noticed something that looked like a skill fruit. Islay appraised it and explained that it was an ancient statue crafted by the Forest Man tribe 200 years ago. Sina asked if she could tell its age through appraisal. She responded that its information shows up in front of her eyes when she wants to know about it. Monica wondered why the statue was holding a skill fruit. Sina said it showed the faith in the god of this continent. Monica asked her why she chose to be an observer while having such great knowledge. Light was curious about that too. An S-rank adventurer would have more freedom and earn much more. Sina stated that she wasn't interested in freedom or wealth. She and her brother had no relatives, and the Saintess became their guardian, so she wanted to repay that favor. Islay said she wanted to become useful to Light, and that's why she had become an adventurer, so she could more or less understand her feelings. They decided to end their break after this conversation and moved on. While walking, a monster caught Islat. Islay immediately informed them that this was a monster called Wine Scourge. It seemed like it was using the tentacles to camouflage and ambush the prey. Light immediately took out his guard and slashed the monster's tentacles even though Sina told him to hold on. He continued slashing the monster using the Sword God skill. Blade Wave. Sina didn't expect him to slice through the tentacles. Thankfully, the girls were all okay. However, someone came and yelled at them. That is the end of the recap at chapter 26.2. Please read the pinned comment about the next part.